bit because you knew that they weren't going to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
Let's
get these calls going. Phone lines wide open. RJ's in Fairfield. RJ, start us up, baby. What's going on?
Hey, big win, guys. Oh, man, I'm so happy. We are playoff bound. We locked up the division. Let's go. Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan. You know what I like about him? Hey, he makes the play. He makes the play when it needs to be done. And he got legs. Finally, we got a quarterback that can move out the pocket and actually get us a first down with his legs. But credit the defense. The defense came through. Nick Bosa, guys, you guys need to talk about Nick Bosa. That dude wrecked that game. And, hey, that would have been a interception, pick six, if he didn't get that roughing the passer. But all in all, I'm so happy, guys. Let's celebrate this win. Let's go. Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Yes, sir.
Coming for the playoffs, baby.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the call, RJ. Nick Bosa tonight. Mm-hmm. I made the joke. Pro Football Focus, football analytics site, does every game they do grades, and they one of the stats they track is pressures. Nick Bosa's pressure stats for this game is just going to say yes.
Right,
there wasn't a snap I can remember where it was like he wasn't hanging out in the backfield.
Yeah, and at this point, when you watch the plays back in slow motion, it feels like the Seahawks, it feels like they weren't trying or whatever it is. They know they can't put their hands on them because you're going to get a holding call. And like we always say, you could call a holding call on Bosa each and every time. So the Seahawks, I think, didn't want that to happen. So they weren't trying to get their hands on him the same way other teams do. So he was just running like a cheetah. You know what I mean? He was just pedal to the metal over and over again, and they just couldn't handle it. I mean, Geno, he couldn't do anything. I mean, it felt like Tom Brady in that he was able to get out, and on one of those plays, he did end up having an intentional grounding. He had no time, zero time. That's all Nick Bosa. And I did want to say quickly about Dre Greenlaw. No Cam tonight, so we didn't get the big play Dre. So somebody said it for him. You watch that play, and we're all thinking it's the end of the half. Seahawks starting to get something going. There's a fumble, right? Fumble, the Niners almost recover it to go in for a touchdown. We're thinking, man, Seahawks, you dummies, you can't let that happen. Mm-hmm. Then you watch the replay, and you see Dre Greenlaw come in there and just put his shoulder on the ball and get it out of there, and you're thinking, I mean, what are you going to do?
What do you do?
What are you going to do unless you're going to put stickum on your hands or something like that? What are you going to do? This guy is a monster right now.
The other player on the defensive line I want to shout out because Bosa was undeniably excellent tonight. Eric Armstead was unbelievable on the interior.
Yeah.
There were so many throws that he got a hand to Geno Smith and forced a bad throw or forced a throwaway.
Yeah.
There were so many of those pressures that were generated by Eric Armstead just obliterating the pocket.
Yeah.
And he is so important to what they're doing on their defensive line that when he plays well, you see it. Samson Ebukam, Charles Omenihu, Nick Bosa. It makes life so much easier on them.
Yeah.
And I think you saw that tonight. A, just kind of the direct impact, but B, the indirect impact of the rest of the defensive line.
And you could say that did, I mean, not that Nick Bosa needs help, but when you do have to worry about basically everybody on the line, you are not able to just zero in on one person. And when Eric Armstead is rolling like that, that's what happens to the defensive line. And then you just have a free running Nick Bosa, which if you're on the opposite end, nobody wants. What you see with Eric Armstead so much, and we used this term last week, Kyle, he clears it out. When he gets that offensive lineman where he wants him to be, he just erases them from the play. And again, that also helps Nick Bosa do what he needs to do. So it's a well-oiled machine right now, Kyle. It really is.
I want to get back to Brock Purdy for a minute because we can sit here and we can just pick out individual players. Dre Greenlaw, you mentioned, forced the fumble. Fred Warner was all over the place tonight. Talanoa Hufanga was excellent once again. Trevarius Ward and Diamador Lenore. What can you continue to say about those two corners? They're unreal. But that Brock Purdy play, that 3rd and 1, where Shanahan calls the play action boot, and the Seahawks have everything covered up. George Kittle whiffs a block. Christian McCaffrey's covered. Brock Purdy takes it upon himself in that spot. Almost slid a little early. Mm-hmm. Almost slid a little bit early, but got the ball over, gets the first down. That's just such a heads-up play, and it's something that they haven't had. That's part of the reason they went to Trey Lance.
Right.
Is because of that ability to move. Now, Brock Purdy can't quite move like that, but he can functionally move in the pocket and get out on those bootlegs, and he's a threat to, he's going to take off and he's going to get that yard.
Right.
And having that is just such an advantage for Kyle Shanahan.
One of these days, he's going to keep it. And the defense is not going to be ready for it. And you know what, Kyle? The more I think about it, now that they clinched, we probably won't see a keeper out of him until the playoffs. But nobody's going to see it coming. Nobody's going to see it coming. It's going to be McCaffrey here. You're going to think, all right, normal handoff. Brock's going to keep that thing, and Brock's going to get you about 20 yards out of it.
Yeah.
20 yards out of it because he has that ability. Kyle Shanahan knows that he can pocket it right now and use it in situations just like you said towards the end of the game. It's another dimension. I will say this. From Brock Purdy today, I was of the mindset I couldn't necessarily see the quote-unquote weak arm, I would say today, just getting a comparison versus Geno.
Yeah.
Okay, it didn't have the same velo, but the ball is getting where it needs to go.
Correct.
And this offense, like we've said, it's not built upon chucking it, not Jamarcus Russell on your knees 80 yards, right? You don't have to do that. So I don't think it's necessarily going to hurt the Niners. Eventually, you're going to come across a team that has studied this team enough, and it's going to be tough. But that's just the playoffs.
Right.
That's just the playoffs. And
no matter your QB.
And the ceiling is the ceiling. But right now, it's not even a matter of figuring Brock Purdy out. Because you got to figure Kyle Shanahan out. Brock Purdy is just a vessel of Kyle Shanahan doing Kyle Shanahan's bidding. That's what he's doing.
Well, and what we're seeing is, like we've talked about ceiling a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
What Brock Purdy's doing right now, for me, is just raising the floor.
Right.
It's the disaster game from him or the bad game from him. I don't think it's going to be, he went 6 for 30 with 4 interceptions. Like it's he completed, 17 of 30 for 210 and a touchdown and interception. Like it's a bad game, but a bad game that the Niners defense is good enough to overcome.
Yes.
And can he get to that floor? And right now I have no reason to believe that he's not there because this was, let's count. He's hurt. Okay. He's banged up. He was questionable coming in with oblique and rib injuries. Okay. He was banged up. He's on a short week, traveling to Seattle. One of the not as difficult as it used to be to play, but still a very, very tough environment. Did I say on a short week?
Yes.
On a short week still. With the NFC West on the line, without Deebo Samuel. Like, this is a massive test, and he just passed it. Did he have the one interception drop? Like, for sure. Did he miss some throws? Absolutely. But that is baked in to what we're expecting from Brock Purdy.
He's had basically one of those a game. Last week, it got called back. This week, he just dropped it.
Yeah, Quandre Diggs.
The Seahawks did. Yeah, Diggs, come on now. What are you doing here? So we've seen it happen. He's gotten out of it. I don't necessarily want to see it happen, but at some point, the defense is going to convert on it, and we're going to have to, again, we keep talking about checklists. Brock Purdy, going on the road, hostile environment. How do you react? Everything's on the line. You could win the NFC West. How do you react? He passed it. The next one is going to be when you make that mistake, because we've seen him shake it off. He shook it off against Tampa, right? And he shook this one off as well. When they do convert on it, how do you behave after that? How do you perform after that? We don't know yet because they haven't been able to catch the ball.
But I love that point that you bring up because that was one of the things that impressed me the most. Like I said, I think there's a cap on what it's going to look like physically. He's not going to throw it around like Justin Herbert or Patrick Mahomes. Like he's just not. And that's not like there's very few quarterbacks who are going to do that.
Right.
He's not going to probably also, like I said, be a complete disaster. But the thing today was he started out hot. I think he was 11 for 11 or 12 for 12, and then missed 2 consecutive throws. And you started to see like this offense started to grind a little bit, and it was like, oh man, the wheels could really come off here. Where he starts, holding the ball too long, taking sacks, throwing an interception or 2, but he didn't. He came back from it. Was he a little flustered a couple times? I thought he was. But like I said, that's a rookie in a road environment for the first time. Yeah,
well, and that's the thing. When you have that defense, you can be sluggish for a bit, but don't throw a pick six. That kills us.
Yes.
Right? Don't fumble the football. That kills us. With this defense, you don't have to force anything. And that's something that, to be completely honest, in having a low ceiling is easier to do. That's what they say about Josh Allen. Extremely high ceiling. He wants to do it all. Brock Purdy doesn't have that problem. So when they tell him, hey, he doesn't have that inkling, to try to save the day. So when they tell him, hey, if nothing is there, just take what the defense gives you. We live to fight another day with this defense. We'll take it. Some quarterbacks that have those higher ceilings and, I guess for lack of a better term, more talent or, more of the physical talent, they don't listen to that and they want to do it anyway.
Here's what matters for me. The 49ers can win the Super Bowl, dude. Like that when Jimmy goes down, that felt like it might have gotten taken off the table.
Right.
But then, he looks pretty good against Miami. Wow, he looked really good against the Buccaneers. Oh, now he went on the road on a short week to Seattle to win the NFC West. Like, what? Why not, dude? Like, I'm
At this point,
I needed boxes checked. They're checked.
Right.
I have nothing now that I'm going, yeah, hey, you know what? I gotta see. I've seen him do it.
Well, now they've won the NFC West, so we don't know how they're going to play this moving forward. We'll get into that later in the show. So now the next time Brock Purdy is going to be able to, I guess they can still play for the 2 seed. So basically, besides maybe throwing the pick and trying to overcome it, really the next time he's going to be able to cross off anything that you're worried about is in the playoffs. So unless you're just going to say, I'm not going to say they can win a Super Bowl because a rookie's never won it, we don't know what he's going to do, that's fine. But I'm of the mindset I'm not going to say that they can't because he hasn't shown me anything that would say that they can't. It's not necessarily because low risk, low reward, that's not it, right? It is low risk, but is it low risk, safe reward? I don't know because, there's high risk, high reward. That's not Brock Purdy. But he's also not low risk, no reward. He's low risk, mid reward, but that's all you need?
Right. The low risk is what matters here.
Right.
That's what they need, and that's what he's been. We have 11 quarter sample now of coming off the bench, starting a game at home, starting a game on the road on a short week. That's very important to me. On a short week where he couldn't practice, by the way.
Yeah.
That was an unbelievably impressive Brock Purdy performance.
And you went on the road, not to Arizona, okay, where everyone's golfing anyway, so nobody's there.
And it's more Niner fans than Cardinals
exactly.
fans. Right.
Not to SoFi, where, again, more Niner fans. You went to Seattle. You had to deal with that, and you got it done with, by the way, everybody watching. I know he's played, primetime games. Thursday night, everybody's watching. It's probably the best. I know the game wasn't necessarily great, but the billing was the best Thursday night billing we've seen in a long time. He knows he's headlining it. Everybody's been talking about him all week. His life just flipped in what, a 2-week span, week and a half span?
Yeah.
And he looks completely the same.
Yeah.
No change.
Very, very impressive. I see Nick in Tacoma. I want to get to him for sure, but I wanted to talk about, because you mentioned the 2 seed and Minnesota. So here's what the 49ers playoff status looks like right now. They've clinched the NFC West. They are in the playoffs. I will see you on Wild Card Weekend. Unless they get the 1 seed, which that would require the Eagles to fall off dramatically.
Epic collapse.
I don't see that happening with Philly. That's nothing to do with the 49ers.
Right.
That's just Philly's good. So the 49ers are now 10-4. They're in the 3 seed. They are now locked into at least the 3 seed because Tampa Bay, the NFC South leader, has 7 losses, and the 2 teams behind them have 8. And the Niners hold the tiebreaker. So the Niners' worst possible record is 10-7. Best possible record for Tampa Bay is 10-7. Niners hold that tiebreaker. So they're not falling below 3. And they're not going to be a wild card team because they've won their division. So if Minnesota loses this week at home to the Colts, which I don't think they will.
It's possible.
But it's possible. Are you trusting Kirk Cousins with your life in that game?
No.
I'm not. So if Minnesota loses, the Niners actually jump to the 2 seed. Because they haven't played head-to-head. They'd both be 10-4, but the next tiebreaker is conference record, which the 49ers hold the better conference record. They are 8-2 in their conference now, while Minnesota's 6-3 in the NFC. So the Niners could finish this weekend. By Sunday afternoon, the 49ers could be sitting in the 2 seed.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. And it'll be interesting how Kyle Shanahan plays this. Because the difference between the 2 seed ultimately and the 3 seed is, are you really worried? I mean, if you're going to have to go to Philly anyway, if they take care of business, I guess the only other team you're thinking, are you worried about going to Minnesota?
I'm worried about any road playoff game.
But are you, okay, but at the expense, I know it's football and anybody can get hurt. Look, you're not going to, you can't ride them. You're not going to sit them 4 games or whatever is left.
No. That's crazy. No,
you
not
can't
all that.
do that.
No.
But
we can crack that egg open down the road.
Hey, you led me there.
No, I did. I walked you up to it, and then I knocked.
Get back, Alan. Get back.
It's like when I mess with my cat, and I pick it up, and I'm like, "Hey, look at this thing," and it tries to bat it off the mantle. And I'm like, "No,
too much.
It's like, don't do that."
Yeah.
No, I think there's a hearty conversation to be had there, but I'm in celebration mode.
Yeah.
When they were sitting at 3-4, let me pause. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let Nick in Tacoma hop in here. Nick, you're up there in Washington. Are you a Niners fan in enemy territory? You're a Seahawks fan calling into a Niners postgame.
I'm a Niners fan in enemy territory.
My man.
I was sitting on the 35-yard line.
Oh,
that was awesome.
Dude, tell me about it. What was the vibe like?
I got some good seats up there. And I got to give a shout-out to the defense because I never knew how good they were until I watched them in person. They were immaculate. And then also, I got to give a shout-out to the Niners offense because it is loud up in that stadium. And if you've never been there, you don't know how loud it is and how much that offense dealt with in the second half. And they really, really did well to close that game out with that noise. That's all I got. Thanks.
Hey, Nick, thanks so much for that call. That's something that I think needs to really be driven home as we talk about how impressive that was from Brock Purdy. Like I said, impressive in a different sense because I think we get so wrapped up in, I know I do, I get so wrapped up in like that QB threw for 190 yards. That wasn't like he was fine. But like you can have a great performance like Purdy had today, where he throws for, I think, 217, couple touchdowns. Hearing that from Nick, who was there and a Niner fan, is like, dude, it is crazy loud.
Yeah.
Like that's something that I think, like, are they the Legion of Boom Seahawks that were winning Super Bowl? No. But that stadium is still very loud.
Oh, yeah. And they were all feeding off of it. They need, look, the Seahawks, they've been reeling a little bit, okay? Like we said, the clock might have hit midnight. So that you knew that they were going to be ready to play. I don't think the Seahawks came off as flat at all. I just think you got punked a little bit. The Niners are just better than you, and we're not going to put you in a position where you can catch up to us, you know? So I think that is ultimately what happened. As they say, Kyle, and to the caller's point, numbers never lie, but they don't always tell the whole truth.
Totally.
And I think that's how it was with Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think that's how it is with Brock Purdy too. You can look at this stat line and say, all right, cool. I mean, yeah, it looks like he did his job, right? But he did more than that. He did do his job, but when you put into context everything else that he had going on, it makes it that much more impressive. And look, it is easier. Would he have been more flustered, right, if the defense wasn't as good and let's say the offense gets stuck in the mud a little bit and then the defense gives up a touchdown and now you got to throw the football in places where you haven't thrown it before and that crowd gets even more crazy than it typically is? Maybe. But luckily, we don't have to live in that universe because the 49ers defense is outstanding. So you have a quarterback where he's always going to be in a position where he doesn't necessarily maybe not feel super comfortable, right? Like in an ottoman with a sofa and all that stuff, but he's never going to feel like he's, out in the street trying to fend for himself. And that allows him to take a deep breath, take a second, and make sure he makes the right plays. Like we said, he still has made two would have been bad decisions with the football last week and this week. One a game from a rookie QB, Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft. What are we doing here? Yeah. You can't complain about that.
That's the thing is I try and say you can't ask for anything more. He's been so good, all things considered.
Yeah.
That scramble he had on 3rd and 1.
You were all about that,
dude.
You were all about that. You guys should have seen Kyle. He was running all over.
I very rarely really let it fly like that. That's the first time I've done that in a long time. Like since the NFC Championship game last year.
I love it.
But it's because I'm in here, I'm writing, I'm getting ready for post game, and I'm trying to watch and remain in kind of but because let's look at that play. There's 2:42 left. The 49ers have a 3rd and 1 on their own 34. The Seahawks have 1 timeout left. If the Niners don't get this first down, Seattle is getting the ball back with more than 2 minutes to go. They have a timeout. They're only down 8. They just cruise down the field on the Niners defense. And I think the Niners defense would have been fine.
Yeah.
But with Lockett and with Metcalf and with Kenneth Walker, who is very good rookie running, like just something weird can happen.
Right, well,
it's Seattle.
yeah.
We've seen it too much.
And you get into that whole, right, like you said, not that the Niners took it off, but they felt, that touchdown they just marched down. Obviously, the Niners weren't completely.
Very clearly trying to keep him in bounds.
Exactly. And then you have to do that again. You're in prevent a little bit. Gino's getting some quick passes. Next thing you know, your arm's length away from the field, right, in terms of Gino's arm. And then anything can get a little squirrely. So the fact that they did not give the Seahawks that opportunity is just huge. Yeah. It's huge. And
Purdy took it upon himself to make that play.
And you know what? You know what's scary? So me, right? I love the bat flips. I love the pumping up. I love when Purdy, when he scored last week and he's beating his chest. I love all that, right? But as my mom always said, it's not me, but she always said, still waters run deep. She would always tell me that when it's time for me to chill out a little bit. Brock Purdy made that play, and he didn't do anything. He expected to make the play, Kyle. Yeah. He got up, he got the first down, handed the ball to the ref. Let's go.
He might have been a little scared that he slid too early. Like, uh-oh.
No, we're going to go. He knew he got it, but you know what? He expected to get it. And he's expecting he says all the right things. I expect so much out of myself, this, that, the third. But now you're starting to see he's starting to embody this. He's starting to embody this team. He's starting to embody being the leader. And it's scary hours for the rest of the NFL right now.
I think it has to be. I don't know if you're a team watching. Now, again, are you looking at Brock Purdy and going, man, he's going to throw for 4 bills on me?
Right.
No, but he's going to operate this offense that is extremely high functioning. Mm-hmm. A function tonight, for the most part, without Deebo Samuel. And if they're going into the postseason with a home game, with Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Jawan Jennings had a huge third down catch tonight. Nobody wants to see this offense, regardless of who's playing quarterback.
Right.
And Brock has been good enough that it's not like a team's going like, yes, we get to face Brock Purdy because, hey, this offense is going to move. And he's not going to be shook.
Yeah.
I've seen everything I need to see from Brock Purdy.
Kyle Shanahan's bag. And look,
Is Duffy?
Duffel bag boy.
Dude.
That's Kyle Shanahan right
Duffy.
now. And look, there was a game where I literally said, I think I was doing a Saturday, and it was before a game, I said, Kyle Shanahan needs to prove to me that he is this offensive genius, or I'm going to stop referring to him as that. I don't want to hear it anymore. And ever since then, Kyle, not that, he cares about little old me, but he's shutting people like me up. And here's the thing. When you see that play from Brock Purdy with the 2 fakes, you don't think that Kyle Shanahan doesn't have 50 more of those plays? He hasn't needed to use them. Mm-hmm. They're going to go into the playoffs with a plethora of plays that nobody has seen, that nobody has even thought about. Okay, we've yet to see all the different combinations in the backfield. We've yet to see a lot of different things. So I think that's the thing that should make you even more confident going into the playoffs. When you look at the plays that Kyle Shanahan probably has, he just showed us a Costco free sample. That's what he showed us today. He's got plenty more from that, where that came from. Sam's Club, if you're Sam's Club.
Shout out.
And
don't want to make any sponsors mad. 888-957-9570. You can text that number. You can call that number. We're taking calls all night. Phone lines wide open. And of course, we're on Twitch and YouTube. YouTube.com/957thegame. Shout out to y'all. Twitch.tv 957thegame /957thegame. Shout out to y'all as well. The YouTube chat flying around right now. I meant to save the chat in here. There's another person, Angelo Mayorga, Niner fan up in Seattle. Said there's actually a lot of Niner fans up there.
Man.
That's kind of a surprise.
But birds of a feather, but not the Seahawks.
Nice, dude. Good pun. That's a good joke. That's so much better than riding Purdy.
Oh, so you did want me to say it?
No, I didn't.
Riding dirty with Purdy, baby.
No.
Riding dirty with Purdy. Thank you. I almost forgot to say that.
I'm sorry. I thought you were holding it back, but you had forgotten.
I had forgotten, but thank you for reminding me.
That's fair. The other Brock Purdy play, the third down throw to Jawan Jennings, 3rd and 7, backed up against their own goal line. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of play where late in that game, along with the 3rd and 1 scramble, which came after this throw, but that's just such a big-time throw. And is it a bomb 50 yards down the field? No. Mm-hmm. Is it on the run, pressure in his face? No. But it was hit his back foot, knew where he wanted to go with the ball. And does he have crazy arm strength. No, but he has functional arm strength to fit that throw in between the linebacker and the corner.
Yeah.
And then it's 3rd and Juwan, which is such a fun thing. But the fact that he struggled a little bit through the middle part of that game, but then came back in the 4th quarter with that 3rd down run, with that 3rd down throw to Jennings, those are the 2 things that I'm taking away from this game, where those are the exact plays that I'm like, going into the game, I'm like, man, weird stuff happens in Seattle. Purdy, is he going to be able to handle it on the road? Dude, like, you hear about his stones all the time. He's got cajones or whatever they say. You see it there.
And you can't teach that, right?
No, you can't.
And when you're at the NFL Combine, you can't measure that, all right? Doesn't matter how fast you run. Some people got it, some people don't, and he has it. And now you made me think of another one. You know, we can say 3rd and Juwan. No. You're going to like this one.
I'm leaving.
You're going to like this one. 3rd and Juwan, different things. Ultimately, it's 3rd and Purd. 3rd and Purd. I feel confident on 3rd and Purd.
Thank you, Sterling.
I feel comfortable on 3rd and Purd, man.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like, but that's just the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it good that they convert those 3rd downs? Yes. But this is why I think the Niners can win it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, okay, they don't convert the 3rd and 1. And they're punting it back to the Seahawks with a little over 2 minutes left, and the Seahawks have a timeout. I feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I still feel okay. So it's a lot. It's a tall task. No rookie has ever started the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl. Those are just facts. As a quarterback.
Right.
But A, this is the first time for everything. And B, no rookie quarterback is ever in this spot where it's a number 1 defense and perhaps the best play caller and play designer in the league. And this is why we thought that, okay, that's why they went with Trey, because they're in this spot. And it's why they were comfortable bringing Jimmy back, because you know what? Jimmy's not great, but hey, he can win with this defense and this offense.
Right.
And it's why they kept Brock Purdy over Nate Sudfeld, because of what they saw in the preseason. And they went, hey, you know what? Here we go. And he seems to be, still small sample, so I don't want to say getting better, but this regression that I think was expected is not really coming.
Right.
And I'm of the mind that based on what we've seen from him, based on what we've seen from Brock Purdy, that I think what we'll see before a regression is he's going to get better as he sees more defenses. As he throws one over the middle that hits a safety in the chest that he doesn't see, okay, he's seen that now.
Right.
And Willard and Dibbs had Will Hewlett, his throwing coach, on, his offseason throwing coach. And Hewlett talked about 2 of the things that they measure are like processing speed, and there was it was something having to do with like risk aversion and being able to, or impulse control, like not throwing that ball because like, oh, there's a linebacker there. And then recognizing things like, oh, the safety flipped his hips this way, and he's recognizing this post snap. So he flipped his hips this way, so I've got to go this way with the ball.
Okay.
And it's those little things that A, make up for the fact that he doesn't have great arm strength, and B, allow him to get better as he just plays more.
He's just going to continue to learn.
Right. It was the theory with Trey Lance. Hey, he's super smart. He's going to play. He's going to learn. And by the end of this season, or as the games go on, he's going to get better. That's where I'm at with Brock Purdy now.
Yeah. And
I think he's just going to get better.
Well, and I think, again, when you talk about the risk reward thing, he's not in a position where he feels like he has to take those shots. I think one thing when we talk about those checklists, Kyle, I think one thing was we knew early on everybody was just bringing the house. So when you're bringing the house, as long as you feel like you can hang in there and you know you're going to get blapped, right? You can deliver that football. Okay, this is great. Now, how do you read defenses when they don't blitz? Well, I think that's what we saw a lot of today. What ends up happening, he throws a ball, could have been a pick, wasn't a pick, lucky for the Niners, right? Or fortunate for the Niners. But now you didn't have to deal with that. But Brock Purdy knows he got away with one. So he's still putting that in his brain, knowing, okay, however he felt like he saw that, I need to not see it like that next time, right? So it's all a learning process. He's going to continue to get better as a football player. And as this season still goes on, even though now he gets to, I wouldn't say learn differently, but there's a little less pressure on him, if you will. You want that 2 seed, but you know you already won the West, so you can go into those games with game plans. Okay, this might not look great in this fashion, but I'm working on something because I know this and I know that because they have that leeway now. They have that cushion now.
And you can tell that Shanahan trusts Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he trusts him, I don't care if he trusts him more than quarterback X or Y.
We're not doing that.
I don't care. He trusts him enough to make me confident that that pairing can go win big games. And that's what matters at this point. What next year does, I don't care. This is a team that can win the Super Bowl. Get me there first. And if they win the Super Bowl, I could give a damn what happens next year. Bring me a Lombardi.
Yeah.
And I think they can. I see Sam on the line. I see Zach on the line. Oh, Zach out there in disco. Shout out 925. We will get to you guys after the break. We do have to break. We're partying, though. The 49ers are NFC West champions. Get in here. Let's hang out. 888-957-9570. Streaming live on YouTube. Streaming live on Twitch. Kyle Madsen, Alan Stiles. A Sizzle. This is Overtime on 95.7 The Game.
Congratulations to your NFC West champions.
So the 49ers win it, and they are the Western Division champions.
Bang, bang, Niner gang. Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Levi's Stadium will host a playoff game, and we're all over it.
Can you smell what the Brock is cooking?
Only on 95.7 The Game. He's the best interview in the Bay Area.
Splish Splash. Coach, are you taking a bath?
Could you hear a little water in the background?
Yeah! He's a 9-time NBA champion.
Not 5, not 6, not 7.
And he's on with Damon and Ratto every single week during the NBA season.
Wow.
It's Warriors head coach Steve Kerr on 95.7 The Game. Presented by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet only from Xfinity.
Are you dreaming of an adventure? Ready for a getaway? Celebrate the season with SFO. Enter the SFO Holiday Sweepstakes by visiting flysfo.com/holidays for your chance to win a $1,000 credit toward a nonstop flight from SFO with more than 115 destinations to choose from worldwide and other great prizes with SFO this holiday season. SFO, your gateway to holiday cheer. Go to flysfo.com/holidays for your chance to win today.
Business owners, you may be eligible to claim the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a payroll tax refund from the United States Treasury, applicable to businesses who kept employees on payroll during the pandemic. Contact Paychex to see if you qualify at paychex.com/ERTC. Paychex is proud to have helped more than 45,000 businesses secure over $9.2 billion in ERTC claims, an average of $190,000 per business. Paychex.com/ERTC.
Looking for a holiday dining experience to remember? Look no further. Afici San Francisco's newest culinary dining adventure is now open at 680 Folsom Street in San Francisco. Visit our website at aficisf.com to book your reservation today. That's AFICISF.com.
Kirby is your driveway mechanic. They bring the shop to you with brake replacements, oil changes, washes, and so much more. Get $50 off your first oil change with code OIL50 at Kirby.com. That's CURBEE.com and use code OIL50.
Hey guys. This is Keenan Thompson. I have a problem with you. Yes, you. None of y'all told me that AutoTrader has millions of new and used cars that I can shop from home. I thought we were friends. I put smiles on your face, but I'm not smiling. No one told me that with AutoTrader, a dealer can deliver cars to my home or that I could shop by price on AutoTrader. No one. Consider this friendship that you just learned to have officially over. Finally, it's easy.
San Francisco.
AutoTrader.
At Total Wine & More,
Odyssey
save big
Station.
on what you love this December with hundreds of deals. Get up to 35% off over 200 different wines and spirits, including Cabernet, sparkling wine, single barrel bourbon, and so much more. These savings are huge, and even better, they're on top of prices that are already the lowest in town. Deals this good don't last long, so visit Total Wine & More to find yours. Love what you find at the lowest price, only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly, B21.
Guys, 2022's been a roller coaster year, so spoil her this Christmas by giving her the next best thing to wearing nothing at all with soft, silky, naturally nude pajamas exclusively from Pajamagram. Sensuous and smooth, naturally nude pajamas feel just like her own bare skin, even more alluring than lingerie. The texture and touch of these pajamas is so seductive that you'll both love the feel of them. She'll love the feeling of wearing next to nothing at all, and you'll love the way they look. Best of all, Pajamagram does the wrapping for you with free gift packaging. Order today, and Pajamagram will also include a free matching Naturally Nude nightie with the purchase of Naturally Nude pajamas. That is free gift packaging and a free Naturally Nude nightie when you order today. Just go to Pajamagram.com. It's fast, easy, and delivery by Christmas is guaranteed. That's Pajamagram.com.
Congratulations to Steph Curry, Sports Illustrated's Sports Person of the Year.
He's a 4-time NBA champion, a 2-time league MVP, a member of our 75th anniversary team, and for the first time ever, he's an NBA Finals MVP. The 2022 Bill Russell NBA Finals MVP award goes to Stephen Curry.
What does it mean to you to finally get this Finals MVP?
I mean, I hear all the conversations, I hear all the chatter. We hear all the chatter. At the end of the day, it's about what we do on the floor. I ain't got to talk about it, just got to go do it, and that's what this is about.
Brought to you by Celebrity Cruises. Journey wonderful with Celebrity's biggest offer of the year. Sail on the world's best ships to the world's best places, like the Caribbean, Europe, Mexican Riviera, and Alaska. Hurry, Celebrity Cruises semi-annual sale ends soon. Contact your travel advisor or visit Celebrity.com.
There's a reason Golden State has become the trusted partner for professional builders and contractors. The breadth of what they offer is remarkable. Their product knowledge can save you time. They're the largest distributor in NorCal of many of the brands they carry. Golden State's newly refreshed app offers installation guides, building codes, and much more. And the GSTV link on their homepage is a useful resource. Family owned for 3 generations. Golden State. When you succeed, we succeed.
Hey, Santa Clara County sports fans. The new Omicron booster is here and available for everyone 12 and older. Remember that kids can get really sick with COVID and the effects can be serious and long-term. You can't be at the top of your game when you're super fatigued. So keep your athletes safe this fall and winter with this important booster. And of course, wear a high-quality mask whenever you're inside with lots of people. Visit sccfreevax.org or call 211 to make your booster appointment. Stay healthy and stay in the game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Fake toss, 2 fake tosses, and then to Kittle over the middle. Touchdown San Francisco. He faked it to McLeod, he faked it to McCaffrey, and then hits Kittle over the middle. Tell me this guy doesn't look like he's in his 7th year in the league.
Now, back to overtime with Kyle Madsen and Alan Stiles on 95.7 The Game.
Deebo Samuel at 19 problems, not at the game, watching from home, tweeted this after the game. Brock Purdy.
That's it.
That's the tweet.
Nothing else needs to be said.
It's wild. This team believes in him.
Mm-hmm.
They think they can win with him. That's what matters. It's crazy. I can't wrap my, I could wrap my brain around okay, look nice against the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a couple days, but I was like, okay, looked really good against the Bucs. Okay, now this is the real test. Here's the, and he's just hella good again.
Yeah.
All right, man, you win.
If you want to poke holes
you win.
in things, you can, but
it's nitpicking.
But that's the thing. If you're nitpicking in this situation, that means he's playing well.
Right. You can nitpick Josh Allen and Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. You can nitpick every quarterback. That's just quarterback.
Yeah.
There's no no wonder he was picked last.
Yeah, exactly. It's
he's a rookie.
Everybody's wondering why he was picked last now, right? And how about, I don't know what the correlation is, and as we came back with that, hey, diddle, Kittle over the middle.
So sick.
I don't know what the correlation is, but how about this resurgence? I know Kittle played well in Mexico, but how about the resurgence of George Kittle in this offense? He's getting targeted a lot, it feels like. It feels like throwback George Kittle. It feels like throwback George Kittle where I was arguing with people between him and Travis Kelce. That George Kittle's coming back. How about that one?
Well, so last week he got targeted really early and then not as much late in the game.
He helped warm up Brock Purdy, it felt like.
And then in this game, so going in, I have a friend who's big into gambling.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, hey, what do you like tonight? And I looked, and George Kittle's over-under on receiving yards, 40.5.
Yeah.
So to win the bet, if you bet over, he has to get 41 yards. And I said, I love this. A, because he torches the Seahawks all the time. But B, the Seahawks can't cover in the second level. Their linebackers are garbage in coverage and against the run. But their linebackers aren't good, but especially in coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have to sell out to try and stop the run. Kittle's just going to be open. And that's what his first touchdown, wide open. Granted, it was on 2 fake passes. And then wide open on the second play of the second half.
Yep.
He's just open. Like, just nobody. He had 4 catches, was at 93 yards. 4 catches, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like you said, I agree with you. It looked like that vintage George Kittle rumbling up the sideline, make a guy miss, break a tackle, stroll in. Like, if they're getting that George Kittle on a game in, game out basis, answer me this. And 888-957-9570. Answer me this. Why can't the Niners win it?
The whole
Super
thing.
Bowl.
There's no reason they can't. That's a lot different than they will, right?
Totally. No, like saying a team will. I'm not even willing to go bet on the Eagles to win it. And the Eagles look like one of the best teams. It's just hard to win a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
But when you start putting, so we talked about tiers a couple games ago, right? Okay, the 49, they were in that second tier with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I thought they were climbing up toward that first tier with the Chiefs and the Eagles. And I think that's the only 2 teams I want to put in there right now. But it's like, man, it's really tough based on what we've seen so far to not put the 49ers there.
I agree.
That's where I'm like, if they go to Philly, they wouldn't be favored. But if they went into Philly in the NFC Championship game and won, now they got to get there first. I mean, there's playoff games to go. But if they did that and won, would it be like jaw on the floor? What just happened? I can't believe they did it. No, it'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, that tracks.
Yeah. Well, look, and I don't know how high up we want to regard this defense, I guess, in terms of historically, but this is one of the top defenses we've seen in a while. And I think that, to be fair, that's part of the reason, when you have a defense like this, that's part of the reason why you wouldn't be completely surprised. The only thing, Kyle, in talking about the teams that the Niners could face, I don't feel like, and you can correct me, besides Mariota, who took a throwback to him in Oregon and was running the option, and nobody knew what was going on.
It looked like they'd never seen an option. That was crazy.
He tricked a couple teams at the beginning of the season. You just had to dust off your playbook from 2012. Besides that, they have not seen a quarterback. I guess they saw Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes kind of scurries when he needs to. They haven't seen a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. And I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but you haven't seen a quarterback where you have to you legitimately have to respect his running ability, and he is throwing the football better than we've seen. That's the only thing I feel like we haven't seen this defense come across. But I also feel like offensively, when the Eagles had trouble, that one loss that they had was to Washington, and all Washington did is run it down the gut and run it down their throats. So again, the Niners can do that, and the Niners have a better the best defense. So I would probably take the Niners in that situation, which feels crazy, but Jalen Hurts still has some things to prove, right?
Totally.
He's still unproven in that way. He's got a playoff game under his belt, but he's having these hot starts, and I guess the one thing why I would say, not to say that they can't win it, but one thing that just gives you cause to pause is just these streaks can come to a halt quickly. And we are seeing that now with Tua. And I don't think, I don't know to be honest, I don't know who has more arm talent between Tua and Brock Purdy. I don't know.
Tua does.
I don't know.
Tua does.
Well, it doesn't look great right now. It doesn't look great right now.
No, you're right.
I'm just saying, I guess, relatively speaking, we've seen Tua's kind of halted a bit. So somebody referenced the Tua situation to the Linsanity run, and somebody's saying his Linsanity run's over. So I hear that, and I am worried about that for Brock Purdy. But at the same time, Tua's offense was predicated on, everybody wanted to say it was like the Niners, but it was predicated upon these deep shots, right? Things like that teams can specifically game plan for. What are you game planning for against the Niners offense? It's almost like it's harder because you know, like Brock Purdy can do, he's like a jack of all trades, right? He can do everything that Kyle Shanahan wants him to do. Okay, you're going to take away the deep ball? Cool, bruh. We don't need it.
Right.
We don't need it. We've never needed it.
Right.
Our last quarterback, we didn't have it either.
Right.
So that's why I think that I'm not that afraid of the Linsanity run stopping for Brock Purdy, because everything that he's doing is something that you can repeat it, right? It's repeatable, all of it.
Well, and the thing is so much of the why not is, well, we have to wait and see, but that's sports.
Right.
It is waiting and seeing. That's just how it goes. And things have to play out on the field. Like I said, am I penciling the Niners in to play in Glendale? No. But there's not a reason like not to, outside of, maybe, but you can say that for, like you said, Jalen Hurts. Maybe he just stinks in the playoffs. Like, we don't know. Maybe the Cowboys figure it out by the postseason. They're just a buzzsaw. Like, I don't. That's funny.
The Cowboys are the Cowboys,
right? No,
until they're not.
I'm not going to go that far. But that's where I've seen what I need to see. I've gotten 11 quarters. If the train falls off the tracks, then fine. But I think that's just as likely as not. And that's just guessing. I don't have tangible evidence to go like, man, you know what? They're surviving on X right now. You laid that out really well, I thought. There's not like Jimmy Garoppolo existed so heavily in the middle of the field, and defenses would just condense and condense and condense. Well, we saw Brock Purdy against Tampa Bay, throw it over the top. And then today, saw him get outside the pocket a little bit. And when you're starting to just move defenders around, that's where Kyle Shanahan gets really dangerous.
Right.
And that's why I think this pairing can go win the Super Bowl. Let's talk to Fozzie in Hercules. Fozzie, you're on overtime with Kyle Madsen and A Sizzle, Alan Styles. What's going on?
Kyle, Alan, thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for calling in. What's up, buddy?
Just real quick on the Philadelphia thing. Man, they haven't seen anybody like us, the 49ers. You look at their schedule, they've almost lost to a bunch of mediocre teams. They're 12-1 for a reason, because they haven't played anybody, but I'll leave that for a different day. Real quick, this kid, Purdy, is the truth. You look at how he controls the pocket. He's checking his reads, looking from left to right, right to left. He saw that nobody was open on a slant route, found an open George Kittle. You give him the ball, let George Kittle score a touchdown. This kid is the truth. And you put him against any team in the NFC right now, I think he can take us all the way. I think if you look at across the board, the NFC right now, the best they got is the Philadelphia Eagles. They barely beat Aaron Rodgers' depleted offensive team by like 4 points. And then week 1, Philadelphia Eagles versus the Lions, they barely beat them. So I think if across the board, if you put us against them, the 49ers have the advantage, but we'll just wait and see. But overall, this kid Purdy is the truth.
All right, very good. Thanks for the call, Fozzie. Kyle Shanahan said, and just to go along with what Fozzie was saying, I wanted to get to this quote, and it ties in perfectly. Shanahan said after the game, quote, Brock Purdy is definitely the most poised rookie quarterback I've ever had. Like, that's a lot, and that's what's going to matter here.
He's seen a lot.
He has. He's been around since, 2004, I think was his first year in the league with Tampa Bay, so he's been around. And that's why I'm buying into the Brock Purdy stuff. Not because I think he can do anything crazy with his arm or because I think his legs are going to carry the 49ers, but it's like, man, if he can just keep the train on the tracks and that poise, especially in Seattle, like that's where that stuff comes in. And I like numbers, and I like having tangible things that I can lean on and point to. But like when people talk about it, like, dude, this guy's just got it. it feels like that a little bit.
It does.
Like there's just a feel that he has for the game. I don't want to make this a tangent, but what's the biggest issue with James Wiseman? That lack of feel, right?
Yes.
You can tell he is immensely talented, but when he's on the court, it's like, man, you can just tell he hasn't played a lot of hoop. And he just doesn't have, Brock Purdy, you can tell he's played a ton of football. And that feel in the pocket, I thought Fozzie made a great point about the way he commands the pocket, goes through his reads and knows the offense. And when he gets outside the pocket, keeps his eyes up and makes throws on the run. Like there's just all these little things that, like I said, I can't give you a number. I can't quantify it.
No.
But it's like, man, that's just stuff a good quarterback does.
And that's the thing. When you talk about good quarterbacks, great quarterbacks, or, the best quarterbacks we've seen, it's not all about the tangible stuff, right? It's not all about the arm strength. It's not all about the speed. I'm going to make a comparison here, and somebody's going to take it out of context, even though I'm going to say don't take it out of context.
Can't wait.
And you know what I'm going to say.
I'm going to take it out of context.
There's a
Why
reason
not?
Tom Brady went so late in the draft, right? In terms of how he projected and the measurables, he didn't have those, or at least scouts didn't think he had those, but he had it. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy's going to be the next Tom Brady.
You're saying Brock Purdy's going to be the next Tom Brady.
I'm not saying
keep
that.
going. I'm sorry.
I'm saying that Brock Purdy is another guy who, when you look at the things that they do at the combine, when you are trying to figure out whether you should draft a guy or what the ceiling is, things like that, you can't measure it, but you know it when you see it. You know it when you hear it. You know it when you're around it. And Brock Purdy has it. Just during the break, I'm looking at, the highlights from the game because we came in here getting ready when everything kind of was settling down. And Brock Purdy, he's saying, let's go. And he's talking in the stands. I don't know if his parents were there again, but he's talking to somebody in the stands. Let's go. And he's getting me fired up, right? And those are just the things that when you see him, it makes it hard not to believe in him. And that's what, when Debo tweets like he tweets, and he says, and he just says Brock Purdy. It's a vibe thing. It's a heck of a run. We don't know how long it's going to last, but all you should do is enjoy the ride. It could be an insanity run. Let's just hope it's long enough to get us a Lombardi and a parade, because me and Kyle will be there.
Right.
We will be there.
I'll be there whether it's here or in Santa Clara, whether it's down Market or down Tasman. I don't care. I'm there. All right. I see Franchise OG and Eric. I want to get to you guys, but I want to get to this other thing Kyle Shanahan said first. I said Brock Purdy didn't throw a pass before practice. Wrong.
Okay.
He threw one, or before the game, he threw a couple passes, according to Kyle Shanahan today, in a ballroom in the hotel during walkthrough. He's firing it around the ballroom at whatever Seattle hotel. That was his throwing before the game, and he went, I'm good to go. And went out and completed 65% of his passes for 217 yards and a couple of tutties.
Let's go get us a title. Let's go get us an NFC West title.
Go get us a dub.
I'm good.
OG is in Seattle, wants to congratulate the 49ers. OG, you're on overtime with Madsen and A Sizzle. What's going on, OG?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm a Niner fan. Love what they've done this year. Very, very exciting. Purdy is awesome. Kyle and John Lynch have done a great job, and so have the Yorks. They brought Christian McCaffrey in, and he's a big time difference maker. So I don't see any limits for this team at all. The defense was just outstanding as usual. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I want to nitpick at a little bit is I wish they got Jordan Mason involved a little bit more, especially when they're running up the middle. But other than that, I think we're set up really well. And let's see how we need 7 more wins. We don't need maybe to win every one of these regular season games, but after that, it's going to get really exciting for us.
Got to win 4 playoff games. Perfect, OG. Thanks so much for the call. He brought up Jordan Mason and Steve Cass in the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957 the game, streaming live there, says, damn it, play Jordan Mason more.
We'll see.
And we were all sitting there throughout the game going, man, are they going to get Jordan Mason? And sure enough, he comes in, he had, I think, a yard on his first carry, but then 6 yards, 2 yards, 55 to seal the game. Christian McCaffrey after the game called him Mariano Rivera.
Wow.
Said he's the closer.
Yeah.
I would like to see maybe maybe like some middle relief in there too.
You got the NFC West now. You would think you're going to see him more.
Yeah.
You would think.
Yeah, maybe. Especially if they think they're going to need him in the postseason. Yeah, I think you sprinkle him in
right
a little bit more here and there.
And you're going to get Elijah Mitchell back.
Yeah, for the postseason, fingers crossed. Yeah.
For the postseason.
Yeah, you need to take some of the load off Christian McCaffrey for sure.
Oh, well, and also either in case you don't or in case Elijah Mitchell gets banged up again, let's have Jordan Mason have some reps under him.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I think Jordan Mason needs to play more. I think that was a great point by OG and then Steve Cass, like I said, in the YouTube chat. That also brings me to the McCaffrey trade. You brought it up at the top. It can't be said enough. Mm-hmm. There was a universal freak out among the football commentary that said, in San Francisco, I think most people were like, hell yeah, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
But there was that's a lot of money and a lot of picks for a running back. But this is not a running back.
With an injury history.
This is not a running back. This is a player who the 49ers can lean on in Deebo Samuel's absence. What do they do tonight if they don't have Christian McCaffrey? What do they do? It's a lot of Jordan Mason and it's Brock Purdy probably. You're putting Brock Purdy in more difficult situations.
And I'm probably not comparing him to Tom Brady.
Correct.
Most likely.
I think they win against Tampa Bay without Christian. I don't think they win this game without Christian McCaffrey. That's not a slight to Brock Purdy or Brandon Ayuk or George Kittle. It's just what he does for their offense. Like, the numbers show it. Their offense has been elite since he arrived. They're 6-0 or 7-0 since he took on a major role in the offense. He was in for the Chiefs game, but he played a small part.
We're not counting.
Blown out. But since he's had a major role in the offense, they've been really good.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one player that can duplicate Deebo Samuel a little bit in their offense, and it was Christian McCaffrey, and they went out and got him. And they are now Super Bowl contenders in large part because of him and having him in the offense. That's why you make that move.
You have to. And look, the Rams did it. They got their Super Bowl, and I don't think, and the Niners haven't had to do half of what the Rams have done. So everybody worried about the picks and things like that. It's fine. It's fine. And here's the thing, Kyle. You've heard of positionless basketball. There's no positions now. Mm-hmm. You've even heard of positionless baseball, right? We need guys that can play different positions. Right. Just do what you need to do. The Niners are playing positionless football in that they just have two weapons.
Yep.
We got Deebo and we got McCaffrey. Yeah, you can call it whatever you want. A wide back, a running receiver. You can call it whatever you want, but they get down.
Yeah.
And they're going to do what they have to do. They're going to ball out, and they're going to make you respect them, and you're going to have to double somebody. So we're going to be able to use that to our advantage and get other guys involved. You just got two weapons. Yeah. You can call them what you want.
Kyle Juszczyk fits that bill.
I
think George Kittle fits that bill. I think both of those guys are also in that positionless football kind of realm.
Yeah.
And it's what makes Kyle Shanahan so dangerous. Shanahan. That was easy for me to say. Let's get Franchise in Oakland here before we hit the break. Franchise, you're on overtime with Madsen and A Sizzle. What's going on? I'm not letting you live that down ever. Franchise, what's up?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Look, what I've noticed is super cool about this season is I feel like we had so much to talk about with the Niners for like 6 weeks until Brock Purdy showed up. And when Brock Purdy showed up, it just put every single piece together to the point where the defense is completely rolling. We don't have any question marks at quarterback. We know we have arguably the best defensive coordinator and arguably the best offensive coordinator in Kyle Shanahan in the league. My point and the reason I'm calling is it's interesting that, like, there is nothing stopping this team from winning. And we're almost at the point with all of the moves that they've made, with including Christian McCaffrey, that there's not much more to talk about. There's really not much more to talk about except sitting back and watching the show. Like, I would urge anyone to say why the Niners are not going to win the Super Bowl. And I'm pretty confident across every side of the ball, every side of the field, they have it pretty much covered. So I would be interested to hear what you all think about that. What makes radio interesting and talking about these deep ideas is that you can go deep on different, like, nuanced issues. But with Brock Purdy crushing it with Christian McCaffrey with his defense just on lock. I feel like there's nothing more to talk about. Does that make any sense? Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thanks, franchise. Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Like, so much of it is like, hey, I guess we'll see. But I was not convinced on Brock Purdy after Miami. I was a little closer after Tampa Bay. I said, let me see that test in Seattle.
Right.
Let me see what that looks like. Short week. He's banged up. No Debo. Hostile environment. One of the toughest environments to play in the NFL. And he balled out.
Yeah.
Props.
Yeah.
Niners have a quarterback. Somebody on the text line, and I lost it. I'm so bad at that. And if you texted this in, shout out to you. But, here we go. From the 650. Brock is easily the best QB of this draft class. Like, dude, we have to see.
Yeah.
We have to see, like, career arcs go, like, things happen, right? But that's a thing that wasn't on the table 3 weeks ago. If you'd said that 3 weeks ago, it would have been like, okay. Did you see him in garbage time against the Chiefs? No chance. But now, like, hey, pick up that idea, throw it on the table.
Yeah.
Let's see in 5 years. Let's see what's going on. Like, I'm there. I'm all aboard the train. I'm on the train.
Some of it in life is also where you end up. And are we having this conversation about Brock if he's drafted to a different team? Probably not. But again, we don't have to answer that question because he got drafted to the Niners. He's in a great situation, and he's able to flourish right now. Both sides are helping each other. It's a great relationship.
Love complimentary football.
Mm-hmm.
That's our favorite thing. We're doing complimentary radio right now. He's Alan Stiles. I'm Kyle Madsen. This is overtime. We have one segment left. I want to take your calls. 888-957-9570. We're partying. The 49ers are NFC West champs. And I want to talk about this quarterback thing. There's a lot going on in the YouTube chat. And I want to address just this 49er season as a whole, because I think there's something we're kind of missing. And I hope everybody feels me on this. So we'll get to that on the other side. 888-957-9570. It's the Xfinity Mobile text line. Join the conversation there. Kyle Madsen, Alan Stiles. Overtime 95.7 The Game.
Congratulations to your NFC West champions.
So the 49ers win it, and they are the Western Division champions.
Bang, bang, Niner gang. Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Levi Stadium will host a playoff game, and we're all over it.
Can you smell what the Brock is cooking?
Only on 95.7 The Game.
We're on a journey to make healthcare more accessible and more equitable, to treat the most complex diseases and offer hope where often there is little, to provide better care to more people across the Bay Area. We are more than a hospital, more than a university, beyond science and technology. We are the people of UCSF. UCSF Health, redefining possible.
Help San Francisco's under-resourced high school girls of color envision, rise, and create with Oasis for Girls. Oasis for Girls provides intensive after-school programming that helps connect girls to internships, resources, and job opportunities. At Oasis for Girls, they equip students with the skills and mindset required to do the work. Your support this holiday season helps San Francisco girls cultivate the skills, knowledge, and confidence to discover their dreams and build strong futures. Please donate today at oasisforgirls.org.
Hi, I'm Aaron, owner of California Deluxe Windows. Ever notice? When your neighbors get new windows, there is a large black eye of broken stucco, uneven plaster, and even mismatched paint. At California Deluxe Windows, we never leave a ring around the window. Why? Because we are one of the only companies in California who custom crafts every window and door to your home's exact measurements. Almost everyone else on the radio is a distributor. They grab a window from a warehouse, break open your walls, shove it in, and patch things up. At California Deluxe Windows, we take pride in our work. Our installation technique is so precise, we do not break your stucco. Your house could be covered with potato chips, and we wouldn't crack one.
Call now, and for a limited time, you get 30% off your entire order and 24 months of interest-free financing. 800-874-3600. 800-874-3600. That's 800-874-3600. California Deluxe Windows. Windows engineered for life.
Certain terms and conditions apply. CSLB number 774518.
Thank you to all of the business owners who kept people employed during the pandemic. For all you've done, you may be eligible to claim the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a payroll tax refund from the United States Treasury Department, applicable to businesses who kept employees on payroll during the pandemic. The window is closing to claim your refund. Contact Paychex to see if you qualify. Paychex is proud to have helped more than 45,000 businesses secure over $9.2 billion in ERTC claims, an average of $190,000 per business. 50 years and thousands of experts in HR, payroll, benefits, and insurance. You may be eligible to claim the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a payroll tax refund from the United States Treasury Department, applicable to businesses who kept employees on payroll during the pandemic. The window is closing to claim your refund. Contact Paychex to see if you qualify. Visit paychex.com/ERTC to find out how Paychex can help you get additional cash into your business. Paychex.com/ERTC. Paychex.com/ERTC.
Stretch your lashes to new heights with CoverGirl Exhibitionist Stretch and Strengthen Mascara. Up to 60% longer looking lashes. It's an instant lash extension effect. Lift, stretch, and lengthen with a lightweight formula infused with biotin, peptides, and pro vitamin B5 for strength and protection against breakage. Looking for a lash extension in a bottle? Try CoverGirl Exhibitionist Stretch and Strengthen Mascara for up to 60% longer lashes. From easy, breezy, beautiful CoverGirl.
Christmas time is here with greatest deals on power tools at Fasteners Inc. Tool Outlet. Save $100 on a Makita 18-volt rear handle circular saw and take home 2 free batteries to top it off. Fasteners Inc. at 2897 Monterey Road or fastenersinc.net.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world, turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Here's to Prilosec OTC. Just 1 pill each morning and no heartburn all day. My holiday hero.
Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Get fast, reliable speeds at home and on the go with internet and mobile from Xfinity. Now through December 21st, new customers can get 1.2 gig internet plus Xfi Complete with unlimited data and Wi-Fi equipment included. It's just $50 a month for 2 full years with no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data at regular rates. Plus, get $200 back. Go online, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
This holiday season, tee it up at the Golf Mart for the hottest gifts from Ping and Bushnell. Save $150 off on the Ping G425 drivers, the most forgiving driver in golf. And there's hot gifts from Bushnell. Save up to $75 on the Tour V5 and Tour V5 Shift rangefinders. We also have gift cards for those favorite golfers on your list. Don't miss these holiday gifts and more happening now at the Golf Mart, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Second and 6. Homer loses it. Picked up on a hop. And on his way, Treverius Ward out of bounds at the 5-yard line.
Now, back to overtime with Kyle Madsen and Alan Stiles on 95.7 The Game.
This is so much fun. Mm-hmm. After all that's something that, like, in the YouTube chat right now, there's a lot of talk about, and this is not saying, like, don't do what you want, like, live your life. Mm-hmm. But in the YouTube chat right now, there's a lot of talk about, like, QB of the future. What do you do next year? Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy. There's a lot of that. And that's fun. Like I said, and that's kind of where I've been leaning with my thoughts. But tonight I mentioned that outburst that I had after Brock Purdy got the first down. This is just fun as hell, man.
Yeah.
There's not even so 2019 was really fun because it was like out of nowhere. They're 8-0. They go 13-3, and they go to the NFC Championship, or they go to the Super Bowl, and they were 10 minutes from when it ends in heartbreak. But man, that was a super fun ride.
It was a ride.
But even last year, was it fun? Yeah, like that win against the Packers, I sprinted out my front door when Robbie Gould's field goal went through. I was out of there. I was so hyped.
Yeah.
And getting there, though, they were 3-5, and it was, should they play Trey? And there was all this bickering and arguing back and forth, and it was like, it's Jimmy's last ride. What do you do next year? And like I said, I had a fine time.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember the last time I've had this much fun watching the 49ers. And it's just a nice reminder that while we talk and we argue with our homies and we argue on YouTube and we're arguing on Twitter and we're debating and talk, that like, dude, this is sports and this is fun as hell.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. And nights like this is where you can sit back and enjoy these types of things. And there is something to be said about getting there. Obviously, how you getting there just in general is great, but how you get there matters too. Mm-hmm. And so much was said going into this season, the naysayers about Trey, the naysayers about Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, who ends up being the guy that the Niners have to depend on? Neither of those guys. Brock Purdy. And that is the beauty of sports. And right now, we talked about the Seahawks with Cinderella. It really looks like a storybook or a movie, if you will, with the Niners right now for Brock Purdy and how he's come in. Look, in this movie, we don't know how the writers are going to end it, right? Kyle Shanahan's a writer, okay? Brock Purdy is starring in it. D'Amico Ryan's executive producer. We don't know how the movie is going to end, but we know that right now we're really enjoying it. And we know that right now it's a little bit better than you thought, right? I mean, sometimes I'll fire up a Lifetime movie, and it's a little bit better than I thought. It's a little bit better than I thought.
I'm not above a Netflix Christmas movie.
No,
I'll say it.
Never,
I'll say it. What do you want from me? What do you want from me?
Hallmark make me feel good. Give me a break.
Just have a little something, and then watch a Netflix movie.
There you go.
Zone out.
So, I mean, from a fan point of view, like you said, in the YouTube chat, we see it all the time on the text line as well. It is really, really hard to not look ahead. It's impossible. That's how humans are wired. You want to look ahead. You want to think about, you want to talk about the future. But there is something to be said about just taking a moment and enjoying this. Because when the Niners were sitting at 3-5, when they were getting Heismaned by Marcus Mariota, you probably didn't feel that good. Mm-hmm. And although you knew the potential that they had, potential means nothing unless you start to fulfill it. And we're seeing the Niners fulfill it. The defense has been fulfilling it. The potential of Brock Purdy, we can talk about how low his ceiling is. That doesn't mean his potential can't exceed what we think his athletic ceiling is, right? So looking at this team and looking at how they've got there, I'll put it to you like this. There isn't a team in the NFL that would be juiced to play the Niners. Not one. And yes, I'm also talking about the Chiefs. They are looking at this defense. They are looking at the hot team, the hot Brock Purdy. The Brock is hot. They are looking at this team thinking they are a problem right now. Mm-hmm. And I don't really want those problems. I'll handle them. And I'm talking about the Eagles too. None of them. Because when it gets cold, when it keeps on getting cold, and the hand warmers, we know they don't work, and you're trying to catch a football, and the helmet is getting laid on you, not just on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, that's not very fun, Kyle. It's not very fun for anybody not in red and gold.
Run games travel, defense travels.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the 49ers are dangerous. If Brock Purdy can keep the ship afloat the way he has, I'm right there with you. Nobody wants to see the red and gold at Levi Stadium, at their home stadium, in Glendale at the Big Toaster. Doesn't matter. I'm in agreement with you. Steve in San Francisco at 888-957-9570. Phone lines wide open. Jump in here. Steve, you're on Overtime with Madsen and Styles. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, boys? Thrilled about the NFC West victory. I just got to say, and I don't want to, I can't be the only one that, like, just seems kind of maddening with how he can scheme open so many big plays.
Call back, Steve. We lost
so
you. He was hanging in there. I saw Sterling. He reached.
I heard scheme. I heard scheme open.
I want to hear. You did. You gave him a lot of leash, and I respect that. Steve, go ahead and call back. Phone connection was a little bit shoddy let's get you back in here. I definitely want to hear what you had to say. And if you have anything to say about this Niners team, 888-957-9570. I'm fully in the they can win the Super Bowl camp. That's where I'm at. We knew it was going to be defense. We knew it was going to be run game. That was the case no matter. And that's the thing is it didn't matter who their quarterback was. It was always going to be run game and defense first.
Exactly. And that was never a disrespect. That was never meant to be disrespectful to Jimmy.
No, that's just going to be the case there are, 5 quarterbacks where you feel okay not having a great run game and defense going into a playoff game with them. Maybe 5.
Maybe.
It's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. You feel good about Joe Burrow?
You'd have to say Joe.
But that's the thing is every quarter, it's Mahomes and Allen for sure, and then it's kind of some question marks. And I'll hear arguments for some others, but I think it's 6 max.
Right.
Which means there's 26 teams that are, if they're going to do something, it's going to be run game defense first. And the 49ers have those things. And now we're seeing with Brock that he can play that level of quarterback that they need. They don't need a 10 out of 10. Can you get me a 6 out of 10? And in a big spot, can you give me a 7 or an 8?
Yeah. And somebody on the text line, 510, said, earlier we were talking about with Brock, it's not necessarily low risk, low reward. It is low risk, but it's also not high risk, high reward. Is there such thing as low risk, high reward? And that's what we've seen with Brock so far. Now, it's not a high reward in terms of, no, he's not throwing for 330 yards and 4 touchdowns, but that's why it's low risk.
Right.
You're not going to get to that with low risk. So relatively speaking, it would be low risk, pretty darn good reward. And that's what the Niners are seeing right now from Brock. The basement is not that low.
Right, exactly. And we get so wrapped up in ranking quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And this is, I think, where my brain was with Purdy. Because ultimately it's a team sport, right? How does your quarterback operate within your system? That's why Jimmy Garoppolo's been so good. He's 42-19 or whatever he is his starter. And I think it's 42-19 technically because he started that Dolphins game, but Purdy won that game. But I think it's 41-9. Whatever it is, it's a really good record because he functions well within the team. In a vacuum, is he a great quarterback? No. But what he does for the 49ers is very good. Can Brock Purdy do that? He's not going to be in the top 10 conversation.
No.
That's fine.
You never know.
But he functions within the... You're right. I don't think he's going to be in the top 10 quarterback conversation. Amendment. But he's going to be good enough. That's all the 49ers need. All I need right now is some Steve in San Francisco. He's back. Steve, fingers crossed your connection's better. What's going on?
My connection is garbage in this place. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
All right. So I want to say, I don't want to take away because I think what's maddening about Shanahan, and again, where I think that it makes me concerned that he's a great schemer and an offensive mind, but the in-game management and where he really needs, I think, somebody else to kind of answer to is that, this game should have been put away. There was the penalties. There was the thing on Bosa, of course, which was not a penalty whatsoever. It should have been done then. But what you see is Christian McCaffrey, he's fantastic. Do you need to run him into the ground? Could you help out with a little bit of motion to Ayuk, as far as pre-snap motion? Could you change things up? When you draw the Seahawks off on 4th and 7 and you get to a 4th and 2 and you punt anyways, that's fine. But it's confusing to me, and I just think his in-game management, there was a lot of different things that worked against the 49ers, including the refs. But Jordan Mason is better suited and has proved that he can take the load off. Can you give McCaffrey a breather? When the game was on the line and there was 11 men trying to stop Jordan Mason, he almost took it to the house. So where is the fear there? Why is he not working him in? It's maddening. And again, for all of the things that he does well, because we've got Mr. Irrelevant, he's definitely taken, that's where he can play, and manage very, very well. But it seems really confusing where he just kind of has those head scratchers where you go, man, it feels like if you just trusted a little bit more, or you didn't get inside of your own head that this game could be put away earlier.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks, Steve. And we talked about going in. We talked about with this team, like, they're better than the Seahawks on paper.
Yes.
The Seahawks only win if some weird Seattle stuff goes down.
Which it can.
It definitely can.
And it has.
It absolutely has. We've seen it 1,000 times over the last
But
decade.
Brock Purdy said no mas.
No. Brock Purdy, the first 49ers rookie quarterback to win in Seattle.
Wow.
During his rookie season, yeah.
Wow.
Pretty sure that's the case.
Also the first rookie to win a road game since 2005.
For the 49ers.
I don't think it was just for the 49ers.
No way.
I saw it on the ticker.
That's definitely for the 49ers.
It was probably just for the 49ers.
Rookies have won road games.
Sometimes these tickers, they got to be more detailed.
The 415ers podcast. You can find that now on the Odyssey app and wherever you get your pods. Mark Grandy, Evan Giddings in the building. What's going on, boys? That was a big win.
What's up? Dude, it's a party, right?
Dude, it's a Purdy.
That's
what Sterling said.
That was Sterling.
That's a Sterling Bennett special.
I can't hate it. I mean, at this point, what is you have to love pretty much everything that Brock Purdy is giving you right now, and everything the 49ers have given you over the past 7 weeks, because it's resulted in W's and it's resulted in the first division crown since 2019.
Yeah, I mean, what you haven't won in Seattle. You've won once in Seattle in over a decade, and you win a division title with a rookie 7th round quarterback. Like that just doesn't happen.
Can you imagine if after they lose to the Chiefs, they get blown up by the Chiefs, and they go to 3-4, and you go, the good news is Brock Purdy's going to be starting Week 15 in Seattle. You'd have been like, wow, they lost all their games, and so they're just throwing Brock Purdy in there to see what he has. That's what I would have thought. And the fact that they won it to win the division is nuts.
No, and he didn't have as great of a game as he did the first two either. I mean, I know that the numbers were solid, but just watching him, look, he looked a bit compromised health-wise. He looked like a rookie making his first start on the road in a hostile environment, and you look up and he's helping you manage your way to a victory against the Seattle Seahawks, which are like, they were literally back against the wall fighting for their lives. This is a team that is desperate, that is going to give everything they possibly can. And the 49ers leaned on them like they have leaned on each of the last 7 opponents, quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy, especially with Purdy. And look, like, there are very few holes that you can poke in this team right now from coaching on down. That's why we were just talking about it on an episode we just wrapped up. It's like, this is Kyle Shanahan's best work. This is his crowning achievement when it comes to regular season football.
Do you know how I know Kyle Shanahan's having a hell of a year? Matt Steinmetz went on Twitter and complimented Kyle Shanahan.
Wow. He's going to bring that energy tomorrow.
But you guys heard what he said about Brock Purdy, right?
I didn't.
The most poise that he has seen
what Kyle Shanahan
from a rookie quarterback, yes. That is large praise from a man who does not hand out praise often.
Has he ever talked about one of his quarterbacks like that before?
No.
Ever?
I don't think he's ever been like, hell yeah, this quarterback. It's always like, yeah, he was fine. Right?
Yeah. How much do you think, and look, we've been talking about the ceilings and how, Brock Purdy, how he projects, and that's what the draft is about, which he doesn't project very high, but you can't project that dog. And Brock Purdy does have that dog in him. And I'm curious your thoughts on Brock Purdy, the work he did at Iowa State. We know he was there for 4 years. The knock on him was that he was basically the same guy throughout his time there. But how much do you think just being there, being the captain, being the leader at the same place, no transfer portal, same place, and being able to go right here to this situation, how much do you think that actually helps Brock Purdy?
Well, obviously the experience helps. Just being able to play, 48 games in college. I think also playing in places like Oklahoma, playing in Iowa where there's 80,000, 90,000
Texas.
Like that sort of thing helps you prepare for this kind of moment. It's obviously a different stage, and obviously there's way more on the line. But being able to have experience in those kinds of environments, I think, sets you up for success in a moment like this, more so than a 1-year starter or a long-time starter at a smaller school. Like I always say, I mean, that's a power conference. He's played in a lot of really big games. He's won big bowl games. So, I mean, it has to help.
Right.
Obviously, you need to still be a good quarterback.
It's a different beast. Don't get me wrong. It's a different beast, but it at least helps because he just looked so poised. And I'm going to continue to say it. He just makes the game look easy. He doesn't make it look impossible to do this or that. And maybe it's because he is a little bit limited, right? I mean, Patrick Mahomes makes the game look easy in a different way. He makes the game look easy because, wow, why don't other NFL quarterbacks do that? Brock Purdy makes it look easy because every time the defense brings something, it feels like he knows what they're about to do. I said it earlier with Kyle. He is basically just a vessel of Kyle Shanahan right now, seeing the field the way that Kyle Shanahan wants him to see it and not doing too much. And I think, number one, that defense is really helping because he's never being put in bad positions. And number two, at the end of the day, if you don't have something, McCaffrey got to be running around here somewhere, so let me just dump it off to him. So it's just a great setup for him right now.
Look, I think there's a reason why 9 of the first 12 plays today went to Christian McCaffrey. Like, when you are in a hostile environment with a rookie quarterback, you lean on your veterans. And the offense today ran through Christian McCaffrey. Brock Purdy was fantastic. To me, he's just a gamer. I mean, he has a next play mentality that you don't often see from young guys where he can make an oh-no throw, or he can miss McCaffrey in the flat, or he can throw it short to Ayuk on the outside, but then be as easily capable of the next play ripping one up the middle to George Kittle, not missing the throws that you need him to hit. And even if you got to punt the ball, again, like you said, Alan, you got that number one defense on the other side, making sure that you're going to have another chance. So Brock Purdy, to me, along with Christian McCaffrey and Kyle Shanahan, both tonight and what we've seen so far in now 11 quarters, like, they have very quickly gelled in a way that I certainly did not expect, and I wonder how many people did at this point in and outside of the organization.
Mark, do you think they can win the Super Bowl?
As crazy as it sounds, yes.
I'm there now, too. I wasn't after last week. I'm there. Like, road, short week, hurt. Like, all these players in postgame, I keep reading these quotes, talking about how Purdy was very clearly in a lot of pain, didn't throw until a ballroom walkthrough session today. They limited his warm-ups to limit the amount of throwing he had to do before the game. Josh Johnson was like ready to go and ready to get in. I was blown away.
That stuff,
I'm there now.
That stuff sounds like the kind of things you read about, like a great quarterback who had a fantastic performance to lead his team to a Super Bowl win. Like, you read it after the fact. Like, this guy almost had a chance to not even play in this game. I'm not saying that he's on that level, he's going to do that, but those are the kinds of stories that tend to be reserved for like those it guys.
Are you there yet, Evan?
I am damn close. I mean, I think that there's a better team in the NFC currently on paper in Philly.
Sure.
But if you put San Francisco and Philadelphia, I can see them winning that game, and I would not be surprised. And then if you look at the AFC, I still think the Chiefs are the cream of the crop just because of that man that Alan mentioned earlier, Patrick Mahomes.
Sure.
But everything else that the Niners have, I can't say Kansas City does on the defensive side of the football, in the backfield, even on the outside to some extent. Like, if you told me that the 49ers would not be underdogs for the rest of the season, postseason included, I wouldn't call you crazy at this point.
Yeah, especially, man, if they get the 2 seed.
Yeah.
Because if Minnesota hosts the Colts, what? You guys are shaking your heads.
No. Mark has been coming down the Minnesota Vikings road for approximately 2 months.
You're a loyal listener to the 415ers. You know how I feel about the Vikings. Like, a month and a half ago, I claimed the Niners were getting the 2 seed. Do not believe in the Vikings at all.
But did anybody ever believe in the Vikings? Oh, man. At least you're wearing it.
For those listening, I'm raising my hand right now.
For those watching on the YouTube stream, shout out to you. YouTube.com/957thegame. Go ahead, Sam.
Going to the Eagles, I know that they got their guys. They got Devontae, and obviously they got A.J. Brown. But the play that we're seeing, we talk so much about the front seven. We talk so much about Fred Warner. We talk so much about Dre Greenlaw, and we should, right? We should. But Diamador Lenore, he's figuring it out. He's continuing to get better. Jimmy Ward.
Let's go, Ducks.
These guys, man, I'm not saying they can lock up the wide receivers for the Eagles, but I'm saying they can hold them off just enough that I would, right now, I don't know how many people would pick the Eagles over the Niners. And I know they're hot to trot right now.
They have to lock them up for 2.5 seconds. Like Geno Smith.
Exactly.
We don't know what was going on down the field. We didn't need to because the backfield was swarmed.
Exactly.
That's what they do.
They were unbelievable. Alan, before we get out, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a special live edition of the 415ers from 10 to 11. It's going to be Mark Grandy and Evan Giddings right here live on 95.7 The Game, so don't go anywhere. If you're on YouTube, Twitch, hang out. They're going to be there as well. They're going to take that. They just recorded a pod that's going to drop the 415ers. Get that wherever you get your podcasts and on the Odyssey app, of course. Download that free Odyssey app right now. And then now's the best time, I think, to get your Brock Purdy relevant t-shirt. 957thegameshop.com.
They're flying
Get
up
in
the
there.
shelves.
RE13 Vant. Like relevant.
I like the red colorway on that one.
Yeah, the red colorway is good. I just bought a black one, so I'll be sporting that for the postseason. Alan, real quick before we get out of here, who's your overtime overachiever?
My overtime overachiever. I mean, you can't go Brock.
You can't?
Why not?
I mean, it's too easy to go Brock.
You know,
It's too easy to
Sterling's
go
fake.
Brock.
Someone's got to speak.
We'll go Nick Bosa.
Yeah, I think Nick Bosa was really good on the offensive side. It's McCaffrey. He just did everything. When Evan said 25 carries, and I was like, that is a crazy, no chance.
26.
26.
But let's not see that again, right? Let's not see that again.
Yeah, not till the postseason.
Not till the postseason.
But Kyle Shanahan said they're going to try and play for the 2 seed.
Until Debo gets back, that might be the way.
This is the way.
Jordan
All right,
Mason.
That's it for overtime. Live edition of the 415ers coming up next right here on 95.7 The Game. Alan Stiles, great job. Sterling Bennett, great job. Kyle Madsen, fine. See you guys next time.
What's up, San Francisco? If you're a fan of the team, which I'm sure you are, you've been following Christian McCaffrey light up the competition. This season, Christian will be hydrating himself with Body Armor sports drinks. It has potassium-packed electrolytes, antioxidants, and no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. In fact, Body Armor has 820 milligrams of electrolytes per 16-ounce serving. Body Armor is the sports drink of choice for Christian McCaffrey. It's more than a sports drink. It's Body Armor sports drink. Available at your local Safeway.
End this year on a high note at Big O Tires year-end sale. Get great deals on name brand tires for cars, pickups, and SUVs. Plus, save on auto care services with financing options available on credit approval. Visit BigOTires.com for all year-end sale offers. Ends January 8th.
Kirby is your driveway mechanic. They bring the shop to you with brake replacements, oil changes, washes, and so much more. Get $50 off your first oil change with code OIL50 at Kirby.com. That's CURBEE.com and use code OIL50.
Business owners, you may be eligible to claim the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a payroll tax refund from the United States Treasury, applicable to businesses who kept employees on payroll during the pandemic. Contact Paychex to see if you qualify at paychex.com/ERTC. Paychex is proud to have helped more than 45,000 businesses secure over $9.2 billion in ERTC claims, an average of $190,000 per business. Paychex.com/ERTC.
Hi, I'm Aaron, owner of California Deluxe Windows. Ever notice? When your neighbors get new windows, there is a large black eye of broken stucco, uneven plaster, and even mismatched paint. At California Deluxe Windows, we never leave a ring around the window. Why? Because we are one of the only companies in California who custom crafts every window and door to your home's exact measurements. Almost everyone else on the radio is a distributor. They grab a window from a warehouse, break open your walls, shove it in, and patch things up. At California Deluxe Windows, we take pride in our work. Our installation technique is so precise, we do not break your stucco. Your house could be covered with potato chips, and we wouldn't crack one.
Call now, and for a limited time, you get 30% off your entire order and 24 months of interest-free financing. 800-874-3600. 800-874-3600. That's 800-874-3600. California Deluxe Windows. Windows engineered for life.
Certain terms and conditions apply. CSLB number 774518.
Thank you to all of the business owners who kept people employed during the pandemic. For all you've done, you may be eligible to claim the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a payroll tax refund from the United States Treasury Department, applicable to businesses who kept employees on payroll during the pandemic. The window is closing to claim your refund. Contact Paychex to see if you qualify. Paychex is proud to have helped more than 45,000 businesses secure over $9.2 billion in ERTC claims, an average of $190,000 per business. 50 years and thousands of experts in HR, payroll, benefits, and insurance. You may be eligible to claim the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a payroll tax refund from the United States Treasury Department, applicable to businesses who kept employees on payroll during the pandemic. The window is closing to claim your refund. Contact Paychex to see if you qualify. Visit paychex.com/ERTC to find out how Paychex can help you get additional cash into your business. Paychex.com/ERTC. Paychex.com/ERTC.
Goody Nation is a nonprofit that connects small, diverse companies to big money. At one point, we had to send millions of dollars to 76 companies overnight, tracking every penny all on paper. I know, right? We don't do that anymore. Now we've got Bill. It knows where the money's going. Once we automated that process, we got more time back with our community. Bill is accurate, and that gives us confidence.
Automate your finances with Bill. Learn more at Bill.com.
Looking for a holiday dining experience to remember? Look no further. Afici San Francisco's newest culinary dining adventure is now open at 680 Folsom Street in San Francisco. Visit our website at aficisf.com to book your reservation today. That's AFICISF.com.
The Prophetic Matrix. Unlock the secret code to your destiny. A new revolutionary book by Michael John Toste. The first ebook to make history by being filmed in space. Discover your unlimited future. Get The Prophetic Matrix now on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. At Right Way Garage Doors, we consider what we do inspired craftsmanship. Our design pros are artists, using wood, glass, and metal as their brushes, your home, their canvas, all inspired by your vision. Right Way Garage Doors has been delivering the highest quality work with the right value and the right customer experience for 42 years. Check out their end-of-year blowout sale. For a limited time, receive 15% off your garage door purchase, plus qualify for up to 24 months no-interest financing. Call 877-DOOR-808 or visit rwgaragedoors.com.
Guys, 2022's been a roller coaster year, so spoil her this Christmas by giving her the next best thing to wearing nothing at all with soft, silky, naturally nude pajamas exclusively from Pajamagram. Sensuous and smooth, naturally nude pajamas feel just like her own bare skin, even more alluring than lingerie. The texture and touch of these pajamas is so seductive that you'll both love the feel of them. She'll love the feeling of wearing next to nothing at all, and you'll love the way they look. Best of all, Pajamagram does the wrapping for you with free gift packaging. Order today, and Pajamagram will also include a free matching naturally nude nightie with the purchase of naturally nude pajamas. That is free gift packaging and a free naturally nude nightie when you order today. Just go to Pajamagram.com. It's fast, easy, and delivery by Christmas is guaranteed. That's Pajamagram.com.
Congratulations to your NFC West champions.
So the 49ers win it, and they are the Western Division champions.
Bang, bang, Niner gang. Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Levi's Stadium will host a playoff game, and we're all over it.
Can you smell what the Brock is cooking?
Only on 95.7 The Game. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMC FM at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Live from downtown San Francisco, this is 95.7 The Game.
Your San Francisco 49ers are kings of the NFC West. They have won 7 straight. They have clinched their second NFC title in Seattle, first since 2019 for the 49ers. They are 10-4. What is going on, everyone? Evan Giddings, Mark Grandy, Sterling Bennett's on the other side of the glass, keeping things rolling. This is the 415ers Hour, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Evan. How are you?
I am unbelievable because the 49ers, though, this sort of run towards the end of the season, obviously starting with Jimmy Garoppolo taking over in week 2, now into Brock Purdy, and the tail end of this season, coming through in the Miami game, doing it again against Tampa Bay, maybe not having his best game against Seattle, but grinding out the way that a classic quintessential 49ers performance here tonight. A lot of this season does feel unbelievable, and I don't know about you, Mark. There's something about this team that makes it believable. Like, in no way, shape, or form should your third-string quarterback be orchestrating a team to a division crown and a potential 2 seed, we hope, in the NFC as it stands a half game back of Minnesota. And yet with the defense, with the addition of Christian McCaffrey, with all the weapons on the outside, the biggest one missing in Deebo Samuel tonight, with a head coach and defensive coordinator in Kyle Shanahan and DeMeco Ryans who are all peaking together at the right time, it doesn't seem believable. And yet at the same time, I don't know if I expected anything different.
Well, there's two sides to this, because you're right in talking about the Niners and how elite their defense is, the weapons that they have offensively. I mean, we talked about it, everyone here on 95.7 The Game talked about it after the Christian McCaffrey trade. This is the deepest, most dynamic skill group that the NFL has to offer. You pair that with the defense. You pair that with the coaching staff. You mentioned Shanahan and DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans likely going to be a head coach in a little bit after this season. That's how good he's been. You put all that together and you think, all right, that's an elite football team, a football team that has a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl. The one caveat is the quarterback position. You're not down to your second-string quarterback. You're down to your third-string quarterback, and that's the one holdup, because everything else says and tells you this is a Super Bowl team, but you're running with your third-string quarterback, and for the moment, you're just not quite sure what that's going to look like. We still don't know what it's going to look like in the postseason. We've seen 2 starts plus basically 3 quarters. And this was his first one on the road in an extremely hostile environment. And to your point, Brock Purdy played really well. So you're finally kind of seeing that last box that you need to check off when you're figuring out if you're a Super Bowl, caliber team. And we took a step towards that with this win in Seattle, the 49ers did, because Brock Purdy didn't seem fazed by that big moment.
No, he didn't. And we discussed this on the tail end of overtime with Kyle Madsen and Alan Stiles. Sort of, do you see the 49ers as a Super Bowl team? How do you view Brock Purdy in that equation? Is he up towards the top? Is he creeping towards the top? We want to hear from you. 888-957-9570. That's also the number for the Xfinity mobile text line. For me, when it comes to Brock Purdy, we threw around the different words to describe him. A gamer, to me, is the first description that comes to mind because of how sometimes explosive he can be and yet also have an innate understanding of the situation. And to me, Mark, it's interesting because I think for the 49ers, they have been in this situation before. When you're describing a Super Bowl equation, the biggest question potentially has always been the quarterback under Kyle Shanahan. And not that it's necessarily changed now. I think the quarterback is still in question. Again, it was Brock Purdy's second start of the NFL. But there does seem to be a different feeling around the quarterback position, and one that not necessarily anyone can step in and play well, but that they might have found lightning in a bottle in this guy, Brock Purdy, who in a game against Seattle, he probably should have had an interception, maybe a couple, depending on some of the throws that he made. But there's a difference between that and then also being able to recover, being able to end with a final line of 17 of 26, 2 touchdowns, where all he's got to do is make a couple of plays and keep the ball out of harm's way, which, to his credit, along with some flags, helped tonight. All he's got to do is make those few down-the-field plays to an open Kittle, just hit the layups, and it feels like this team can go really far.
Yeah, Quandre Diggs dropped a gimme interception. That could have turned this game around. Niners caught a break there, certainly. But to your point, besides, a moment, 2 moments like that, Brock Purdy was really good. He was efficient. He took care of the ball. And when his team needed him to make a big play, think about that 3rd and 7 from your own 4-yard line in the second half. And that was in the fourth quarter with about 12 and a half left in the game. You're up by 2 scores at that point. You're looking at punting from your own end zone if you don't get a first down. Brock Purdy steps up, makes a perfect throw to Juwan Jennings, who fights for the first down. Niners move the chains. They don't go down and score. But at that point in the game, with the defense that you have, you don't need another score. You just needed to make sure you weren't punting from your own end zone. Back up Seattle as much as you possibly can. That 3rd down was huge. He had that 3rd and short conversion with his legs on that last drive of the game. That wasn't the final nail in the coffin. Jordan Mason delivered that with his big 55-yard run that almost went for 6.
I wanted him to get in so bad.
He did too, but he ran out of steam at the end. That was an incredible moment for Jordan Mason. He's going to get his first touchdown as a pro pretty soon, I think.
Fingers crossed.
But you saw Brock Purdy, again, as you said, had a couple of hiccups with some bad throws, some bad decisions. But when his team needed a big conversion the most, he came through. And that's not usually what you say for a rookie quarterback. And Brock Purdy, just week after week after week, is continuing to prove to us that he's not a normal rookie. As wild as that sounds for a guy who is Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft. I know everyone on 95.7 The Game here has been saying that endlessly for the last 2.5 weeks, but it just is it doesn't compute when you're trying to look at this guy's performance and compare it to where he was drafted to. And every week he is making that distinction grow even larger.
Look, through 3 games right now, and again, small sample size, 11 quarters, 25-37 first week against Miami coming in. If you take all of it now together, you got a guy who has completed 70% of his passes, if not more, has above a 100 quarterback rating, and has thrown 6 touchdowns with 1 interception. He has not fumbled the ball yet. He has not turned it over. He has not made the rookie mistakes that you expect. And the term that was getting thrown around this entire week, I'm sure will continue to get thrown around for the next 10 days until they face the Washington Commanders here at Levi's Stadium, is going to be the it factor. Brock Purdy, whatever it is, this sort of immeasurable quality that we seek in quarterbacks that you don't really know if it's there until they show it on a given play. Tonight, yes, there were some throws that he surely wanted back. I know there was a throw in the flat to McCaffrey in the first half that was over his head. Next throw to Ayuk is a little bit short. But over the course of the game, those don't tend to stand out as much because, yes, he's got a defense on the other side that can get the ball back for him. He's got a Christian McCaffrey in the backfield who can hand the ball off 26 times to. He's got Jawan Jennings, who he can go to on third down and allow him to take the hit and still capture that football. But he's got that sense of when Brock Purdy has the ball, and I don't want to speak for you, Mark, but it feels like the 49ers are going to have a productive drive, whether it ends up in points, a field goal. It is going to be something progressive towards a win. He feels like a winning quarterback in a way in which maybe not like sometimes when Jimmy Garoppolo was there, even sometimes when Trey Lance was there. Like he is more of a factor in this offense for good or for worse, and Kyle Shanahan has clearly put his trust in this young kid, maybe even more so than his previous 2 quarterbacks this year.
I think the data, what we've seen from Brock Purdy so far suggests that, what you're saying, that, you know, this play, Brock Purdy's on the field, this drive is going to be a net positive for the 49ers. But I don't know about you and all of our listeners, you can tell us, 888-957-9570. When I'm watching Brock Purdy play, I'm in the back of my head, I ultimately am worried because I'm thinking, okay, when's the rookie mistake coming? Like, it has to be coming at some point, right? This guy is a 7th round draft pick making his first career road start. Something bad is going to happen, right? Like, logic says it will. And, you know, we talked about a couple of the bad throws he's made that haven't come back to bite the 49ers yet. But I'm still kind of waiting for that moment. But to your point, everything he's put on tape and everything that he's done so far, it hasn't resulted in that back-breaking play that you might expect from a rookie quarterback. So I'm kind of fighting between 2 thoughts right now because it's what his play is suggesting versus what you might expect from someone in his position, and I haven't quite reconciled those yet.
That's why it feels a bit unbelievable, and a lot of that is because of the surrounding cast. A lot of that is because of the coaching staff, and I believe our next caller, Michael in Concord, wants to talk about just that. It's the 415ers Hour, double overtime here on 95.7 The Game. We're taking you up until 11 o'clock. Get your calls in, 888-957-9570. You want to join in the celebration. 49ers are NFC West Division winners yet again. Michael, what's going on? You're on with Evan Giddings and Mark Grandy here on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, guys. How's it going tonight? Thanks for taking my call. Great win tonight, Brock. He's just a surprise, like you guys have been saying. He just does little things that, you know, like the double pump fake to Kittle for the touchdown was like amazing to watch. My question is, what's your take on, do you think Kyle Shanahan deserves to be in the conversation for Coach of the Year this year?
Appreciate that, Michael in Concord. Well, Mark, I'll let you handle this because you brought it up on the 415ers episode that you can find later on tonight and tomorrow on wherever you download your podcast from.
Yeah, we brought this up ourselves. Appreciate the call. I think if this was a relatively normal year where there wasn't a one-loss Eagles team that didn't come out of nowhere, but, you know, wasn't at least starting the season, a favorite in the NFC. You would call that a surprise that they're a one-loss team. If it weren't for Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, I think Kyle Shanahan would be a lock for Coach of the Year.
It would be a shoo-in, I think, yeah.
Yeah, but Nick Sirianni and what he's done with Jalen Hurts and that team, I think at this point needs to be considered the favorite. But I mean, you're in the running, certainly, if you're Kyle Shanahan. Things can change in the final couple of weeks.
No, I mean, look, Michael is asking a fair question. I'm sure it's one that's going to dominate a lot of airwaves tomorrow as far as Kyle Shanahan, because when it comes to the regular season, we discussed this. I think this has to be his best job. With everything that goes into Kyle Shanahan's, again, dual role as both a front office member as well as a head coach and, of course, play caller for the 49ers. You look at a guy that has sustained not one and two quarterback injuries. And we've already tossed around how ridiculous it is that a third-string quarterback can not only be this good, but the fact that they're still winning games with a third-string quarterback. Kyle Shanahan is also the guy responsible for pulling the trigger on getting Christian McCaffrey, which I don't think coincidentally is around the time this team began a 7-game win streak. He has been the catalyst for that offense. Brock Purdy comes in. He clearly looks prepared. A lot of credit, of course, goes to Brian Griese, but Kyle Shanahan is the guy calling plays. He's the guy that dials up 37 pass attempts in Brock Purdy's first game in which he's coming in off the bench. He's the reason why Brock Purdy, in a lot of ways, is prepared for this moment, as well as Brock Purdy preparing himself. To put Kyle Shanahan in the Coach of the Year conversation is not out of the question, but I think, to your point, it's probably the same reason why Patrick Mahomes might not win the MVP and Jalen Hurts will. It's because of storylines and expectations at the beginning of the year, which is, although, yes, the 49ers have undergone probably more turmoil than any other team throughout the league, one especially in the playoffs this year, they were expected, I think, by a lot of people, to be contending for the division that they have now won. The Rams are also in that equation, but they bowed out early. So it was a lot of ways the 49ers for the taking, and to their credit, Mark, they took it.
Yeah, and I think Kyle Shanahan deserves a ton of the credit for the success that Brock Purdy is having. First and foremost, Brock Purdy deserves that success, or that credit. He's playing phenomenal. But I think if you put Brock Purdy on a different team, he's not having the success that he's having with the 49ers somewhere else. And I'm not saying put him on a bottom-dwelling team in the NFL. That's unfair. But you put him on another contending team, he's not playing as well as he is with the 49ers. Part of that, of course, is the weapons that he has. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is the most unique weapon in all of football. You could say the same thing for Deebo Samuel. We know about George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings, who's becoming a reliable target on third downs. But Kyle Shanahan makes it so easy on his quarterback. And we talk about it a lot, that the quarterback in the 49ers system isn't asked to do nearly as much as other quarterbacks in other systems. So Kyle Shanahan is coaching the year of his life, as you talked about it when we were on with Kyle and Alan at Overtime. This is his crown jewel in his coaching career this season, because he is making a third-string quarterback, a rookie quarterback, look really good. And clearly, Brock Purdy probably was undervalued in the draft. He should not have been Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah. I think he's proven that. But you also have to give Kyle Shanahan a ton of credit for making this transition look relatively flawless. I mean, that just does not happen. Both things can be true. Brock Purdy is better than where he was drafted, and Kyle Shanahan is coaching the hell off this season. He's been phenomenal, and he's making his third-string quarterback look really good, which basically never happens across the NFL.
No, and look, exhibit A of how difficult it is for a quarterback just to step in. I know Brock Purdy has made it look easy, but just look at 2020. I mean, look at Nick Mullins, look at C.J. Beathard, look at some of the other quarterbacks that have been in Kyle Shanahan's system that he at times has made look good.
Never really translated to wins, but they put up numbers.
That they did. They put up numbers, and they had some spurts. They had some games that looked good. Maybe they didn't have the benefit of the running game and weapons and defense that Brock Purdy does. But the fact of the matter is, I think for a lot of people, whether you were on the train immediately or I would hope you're getting on the train now of Brock Purdy, he's turned many, if not all members of this fan base into believers. Like, we both talked about it when Jimmy Garoppolo went down after that game. I was on postgame with Sterling Bennett. We thought the season or the Super Bowl chances were done. 0. I don't know whatever percentage you put him at with Jimmy Garoppolo, but whatever that was, I thought that they were gone. Now I'm returning to whatever that ceiling I thought the 49ers could get to with Jimmy Garoppolo or even before with Trey Lance, I'm back to being there with Brock Purdy because not of how like ridiculous he's lighting up scoreboards and the numbers, but because of how this team looks with him under center. He does not have to do much, that's true, but he does enough and more to show you that this team could go on the road in a playoff scenario and get a win. And I'm curious to know where people believe the 49ers stack up in the NFC, in the overall NFL. 888-957-9570. We want to hear from you. Where do you see this team going at this point? Because right now, Mark, you just heard Kyle Madsen talk about it. Alan Stiles talked about it. A lot of people are beginning to see this team again as a Super Bowl contender, if not potentially even the favorite in the NFC.
Well, I'm with you. I think the 49ers, there's no doubt that they are at worst the second best team in the NFC, even with Brock Purdy as their quarterback. If any of our listeners right now on 95.7 The Game have listened to us on the 415ers in the past, you know how I feel about the Minnesota Vikings. I do not believe in them at all. The Niners, without Brock Purdy, whoever is their quarterback, doesn't matter. They're better than the Minnesota Vikings. They will win that game in the playoffs if that matchup happens. And, you would hope. You would hope. The Dallas Cowboys, I'm more scared of the Dallas Cowboys than I am the Minnesota Vikings. It's not particularly close, but I still think the Niners and their defense, they did it last year in Jerry World. If that matchup happens this year, it'll be in Levi's. The Niners will win their division. They already have it locked up, and the Cowboys, in all likelihood, will not, because they're in the division with the Eagles, who only have one loss at this point in the season. So they will be the 5 seed in the NFC, which means Niners-Cowboys happens this year in January. It'll be in Levi's. Niners have a gigantic advantage there. They have not lost, or they have lost once at home to the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 6-1 at home this year. So I'm with you. The only roadblock, the only matchup where I have pause for the 49ers is the Philadelphia Eagles. It's because of Jalen Hurts. They have a really quality defense as well, and they have offensive weapons to go around. And I think the one thing we haven't seen from this Niner defense during this run is we haven't seen them against an elite mobile quarterback. And Jalen Hurts is that. He's the dual threat. He's not, the electric runner that a Lamar Jackson is, or maybe even Kyler Murray when he was playing better last year prior to that. And the Niners haven't played Kyler Murray this year, and they won't. They played Colt McCoy in Mexico City, and they're going to play Colt McCoy most likely again towards the end of the season.
The closest one would probably be Marcus Mariota outside of Mahomes.
Probably. Yeah, so that's the one, I think, worry, or maybe not worry, but the box the Niners defense hasn't checked off yet is, can they shut down that kind of quarterback? And that's why, and also probably because it'll be on the road, why I would pause at that part. But up until the Eagles, picking the Niners.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And just look at their record in the conference. Like, they're 8-2 now. I know they've dominated their division. You can make an argument they probably should.
5-0.
5-0 right now. Still got, of course, one more game against the Cardinals. That'll be the regular season finale, which at this point we hope will not mean anything. Hopefully they will have an opportunity at the 2 seed. May need to battle back and forth. But that's why, again, I also thought this game was so important for San Francisco. I believe that this game meant more for Seattle because obviously their hopes of the division are now extinguished, with the Niners. But the 49ers, by winning this game, give themselves a chance the last few weeks of the season to load manage this a little bit more. So I do think that helps. And the other thing that I do want to dig into more on the other side, I have a couple minutes left here in the segment. We're taking it up until 11 o'clock here on 95.7 The Game, is how good Christian McCaffrey was tonight. Like, that is why you sell the farm, why you say bleep them picks to go get number 22, now number 23. Because if you can give him the rock again and again and again, 26 times on the ground, 108, 1 touchdown, 6 catches through the air on 8 targets, 30 yards. Again, it was nothing flashy. His longest run of the game was 23 yards. We talked about Jordan Mason's 55-yard scamper. McCaffrey, his longest run was half that. And yet, there was a sense of dominance that he displayed that I have not seen in a long time from a 49ers running back. It was incredible to watch.
He was the best player on the field all night. No question. 26 carries, 6 more catches, 138 total yards, scored a touchdown. He was involved in both of George Kittle's touchdowns, even though he did not touch the ball. The defense was so incredibly worried about Christian McCaffrey. The caller mentioned that the great, double pump by Brock Purdy. The second pump fake was to Christian McCaffrey. Entire defense goes to that right side of the field, which McCaffrey was occupying. Kittle wide open. On Kittle's touchdown in the second half, similar story. It was McCaffrey in the left flat. Didn't even take a pump fake. Didn't even take Purdy looking that way. But 3 defenders, at least one of which should have stuck with George Kittle, just get sucked into Christian McCaffrey's gravity. It leaves George Kittle wide open. He makes a nice cut, makes a couple of tacklers miss, and is in the end zone. Christian McCaffrey scored 1 touchdown, Evan, but he was directly involved in all 3 for the 49ers. He was the best player by far.
He was absolutely dominant, as were the 49ers for much of this game. I know they allowed a fourth quarter touchdown that made the game look a lot closer than it was. I know Seattle technically had a chance to maybe stop the 49ers with about 3.5 left, but Mark...
Never feel comfortable in Seattle, though. Never.
No. You're sleepless in Seattle. I mean, that's how it rolls. We are going to roll on here on 95.7 The Game. Where do you see the 49ers and this Brock Purdy train going? Do you see it stopping? Are you on board? Are you still a little bit hesitant? These are the questions we're going to dig into on the other side. The San Francisco 49ers are kings of the NFC West, their first division title since 2019, and appropriately, they do it at Lumen Field against their rival, the Seattle Seahawks, knocking them out of the division race. We'll be back after these messages here on 95.7 The Game. You're listening to Double Overtime. Some might say the 415ers hour. Evan Giddings and Mark Grandy with you on 95.7 The Game.
Congratulations to your NFC West champions.
Fake toss, 2 fake tosses, and then to Kittle over the middle. Touchdown San Francisco. And they are the Western Division champions. So the 49ers win it by a score of 21-13, dealing a major blow to Seattle's playoff hopes along the way.
This is the Bay Area's sports station. 95.7 The Game.
Journey Wonderful with Celebrity Cruises' biggest offer of the year. Enjoy 75% off your second guest, savings of up to $800 per stateroom, and up to $800 onboard credit. Sail on the world's best ships to the world's best places like the Caribbean, Europe, Mexican Riviera, and Alaska. Hurry! Celebrity Cruises' semi-annual sale ends soon. Call 1-800-CELEBRITY, contact your travel advisor, or visit celebrity.com. Offer expires January 31st, 2023 and applies to non-refundable deposit rates and select sailings. Additional restrictions apply. Ships registry, Malta and Ecuador.
If you're considering remodeling your home in 2023, talk with your architect or designer about utilizing Golden State Window and Door for your upcoming project. Each location across the Bay Area features beautifully planned displays. You'll be surprised by the variety of styles. Their respected partners include Anderson, Milgard, Marvin, and many other top brands. For locations, images, and more, visit goldenstatelumber.com. Since 1954, Golden State. When you succeed, we succeed.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals for Business start now with fresh, limited quantity deals on tech to drive productivity. Save on select performance laptops and desktops powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything, and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
At the Home Depot, we have plenty of Christmas trees to make your holidays even more magical. Hundreds of full, easy-to-assemble artificial trees that look so real, you may be convinced they actually are. And for those who love that fresh pine smell, we have a parking lot full of fresh-cut trees to call your own. We'll even help you load your tree in the car so you can bring home the holidays. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Stretch your lashes to new heights with CoverGirl Exhibitionist Stretch and Strengthen Mascara. Up to 60% longer looking lashes. It's an instant lash extension effect. Lift, stretch, and lengthen with a lightweight formula infused with biotin, peptides, and pro vitamin B5 for strength and protection against breakage. Looking for a lash extension in a bottle? Try CoverGirl Exhibitionist Stretch and Strengthen Mascara for up to 60% longer lashes. From easy, breezy, beautiful CoverGirl.
Are you
Dreaming of an adventure? Ready for a getaway? Celebrate the season with SFO. Enter the SFO Holiday Sweepstakes by visiting flysfo.com/holidays for your chance to win a $1,000 credit toward a nonstop flight from SFO with more than 115 destinations to choose from worldwide and other great prizes with SFO this holiday season. SFO, your gateway to holiday cheer. Go to flysfo.com/holidays for your chance to win today.
Hey guys, this is Keenan Thompson. I have a problem with you. Yes, you. None of y'all told me that AutoTrader has millions of new and used cars that I can shop from home. I thought we were friends. I put smiles on your face, but I'm not smiling. No one told me that with AutoTrader, a dealer can deliver cars to my home or that I could shop by price on AutoTrader. No one. Consider this friendship that you just learned we had officially over. Finally, it's easy. AutoTrader.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Avoid giving useless knickknacks this holiday season and look for durable items that will last for years. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
When you need to know what's happening, it's time to get in the huddle.
You're fraudulent. You're not in the business of winning football games. You're in the business of trying to prove your own asinine decisions correct. We can talk about the Irsay thing. Do I think the Saturday thing is the biggest joke in the history of the NFL? I do. But at least he was willing to say, this ain't working for me. I don't care that I just gave him extensions.
Listen to In the Huddle, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
ZZ Top and Leonard Skinner are coming to Shoreline Amphitheater August 10th, and 95.7 The Game has your tickets. For your shot to win and get in the running for the grand prize, 2023 Shoreline Lawn Pass. Head to 957thegame.com. Christmas time is here, and so are all the greatest deals on power tools at Fasteners Inc. Tool Outlet. Enjoy 12 days of deals on all your favorite brands starting December 12th. Grab free batteries with tons of Makita products and more of this year's greatest deals. Save $100 on a Makita 18-volt rear handle circular saw and take home 2 free batteries to top it off. Stop by Fasteners Inc. at 2897 Monterey Road, December 12th through the 24th, or shop online at fastenersinc.net.
This holiday season, tee it up at the Golf Mart for the hottest gifts from Callaway and Bushnell. Receive up to $50 off Callaway Rogue ST Woods. And while you're there, grab a dozen Callaway Chrome Soft golf balls. And from Bushnell, save up to $75 on the Tour V5 and Tour V5 Shift rangefinders. There's also gift cards for those favorite golfers on your list. Don't miss these holiday gifts and more happening now at the Golf Mart, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
He's definitely the most poised rookie I've ever had. He's been like that since he's gotten here. From what I hear about him in college, I think he was very similar, just starting as a freshman. I mean, he's been great. He was poised all week. Even him being unsure of whether he'd be able to go or not, I think that was uneasy for him because he didn't know what to expect till he got in the game. Under our circumstances, we didn't have any other options or choices. We're going to see how long he could last, and we were ready to go with Josh. But he got comfortable and got better as the game went, and it was pretty unbelievable.
Now back to 95.7 The Game.
You just heard after the 49ers division clinching victory over the Seattle Seahawks, head coach Kyle Shanahan talking about the man of the hour, the man of the last 3 games, Brock Purdy, his quarterback, a rookie 7th-round pick, Mr. Irrelevant. He is irrelevant no more, and he is now leading the San Francisco 49ers into the playoffs. I mean, that is the reality of the situation. Evan Giddings and Mark Grandy with you here up until 11 o'clock on 95.7 The Game. Mark, you heard it from the head coach. I know we talked about it with Kyle and Allen. That kind of praise about poise is not often bestowed by one Kyle Shanahan.
It's not. He's a hard compliment to get. He doesn't compliment people just for the hell of it. You have to earn it, and Brock Purdy has. We can talk all day till we're blue in the face about what we've seen from Brock Purdy and how he's surprising us and how he's playing good football. And then because of it, the Niners are still a legitimate Super Bowl team. just listen to how his head coach is talking about him.
Kyle Shanahan doesn't often acknowledge good questions, good things in general. He kind of blows by him. So for him to go out of his way, I think is telling.
It tells a lot. I mean, it tells the story of how he's really feeling about this guy. And, there's a lot of 49er teammates, his teammates, Brock Purdy's teammates, that is, talking how this guy kind of controls the huddle, how he is, he's not backing down to any veterans. He's saying, hey, guys, come on, focus up. Let's get going. Like, chop. We got to work on this before the game comes around. Like, okay, teammates are going to say that sort of thing when they're asked by the media. Like, you have media obligations. You're in front of a microphone and 20 people, sitting there writing down your every word. You're not going to trash your starting quarterback. That's just not how it works. But your head coach also does not need to come out after a game and say, quote, he's definitely the most poised rookie I've ever had. Like, you don't need to say that unless you truly believe it. And Kyle Shanahan, as you said, is not one to give out those compliments to just anyone. So, maybe you're worried what you're seeing isn't true. You're concerned that this rookie is going to fall back down to earth. It's certainly possible, but take what the head coach is saying, because he doesn't just say that for anyone.
And you also don't have to take it as a degrading tone towards a Trey Lance. Like, let's not forget the other rookie quarterbacks that Kyle Shanahan has experienced. One of which is still playing in this league in Kirk Cousins. The other which would be Robert Griffin III, who won Offensive Rookie of the Year his first season. So he is putting them in that class potentially. Like, that's what I hear as well. I'm not just thinking about Trey. I'm thinking about all the quarterbacks that Kyle Shanahan has been, connected to. And the reason why he's in this position, why people have given him the praise that he duly deserves for being a quarterback whisperer, because no matter if they've been young, if they've been old, he has done a good job at getting them to a place of success. Now, not this level of immediate success, and that's the crazy part about Brock Purdy is how long is this thing going to go? I mean, I was a little doubtful after the Miami game. The excuse was, well, now let's look at a Todd Bowles team in Tampa Bay that's got a whole week to prep for him. They like to blitz. Well, let's see how he handles the blitz. Will he handle the pressure? All right, this week. Well, he's going on the road. He's got the oblique injury. He's not 100%. Can he still be the same guy? It's going to be a tough environment. Again, the 49ers had been 1-10 in their last 11 games in Seattle, and Brock Purdy just got them their second. Like, that in and of itself is very telling of how much this game meant, how important it was not only to, of course, win the division, but also to beat a rival doing it. And then for Kyle Shanahan to come out and in the moment understand, like, this is something special that's happening. And I think even he, as the head coach, who is paid to feel nothing, who is paid to be a guy that can cut someone on a moment's notice and tell them to pack their bags and head back to Iowa, this is a guy that is telling you something special is happening here.
Yeah, 100%. And, I mean, this is a guy, Brock Purdy, a rookie quarterback, making his second career start, his first career start on the road in probably the most hostile environment in the NFL. He did not throw a single pass in practice all week leading up to this game because of his hip or his rib and oblique issue. Kyle Shanahan said that Purdy threw a couple of passes in a hotel ballroom in the team's walkthrough leading up to the game. That was the only throws he made all week leading up to this Thursday night showdown with a chance for the 49ers to win the NFC West with that on the line. And he comes out and doesn't bat an eye and plays like he's been the starter for years, plays like he threw every practice throw all week long. That is not normal. We can't just like bat an eye and let that roll off our backs. That is not normal for a rookie quarterback making his second career start, his first career start on the road in this environment, to not attempt a single pass in practice leading up to this week and still looking like he's in total control of the offense against not a very good Seattle defense for sure, but not a terrible one, and on the road with those rabid fans. That is not normal, and we cannot forget that, because for how good this team is, we can look past certain aspects of why they're playing well, but you just simply cannot look past the fact that Brock Purdy should not be playing the way he's playing, given everything we know about him and everything that led up to this ballgame.
And that's why I do think there is reason to appreciate this on a, if you want to call it a week-to-week basis, game-by-game basis. Like, enjoy the 4 quarters that this dude is going to get to play, because who knows what is going to happen to Brock Purdy's career, whether it be in San Francisco, whether it be elsewhere. I think about a guy like Sean King for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who was in a similar situation to Brock Purdy, third-string quarterback, 1999, comes in, helps the Buccaneers the last 5 games of the season get to the conference championship. The next year gets the keys to the starting job, goes 10-6, and then gets them to the first round of the playoffs and loses, and he's not in the league in 3 years. Like, the quarterback position is a very what have you done for me lately spot, as is the entire game of football. And what Brock Purdy has done for you lately, whether you want to critique the throws that he did or didn't make, I'm not going to sit up here and act like this is the second coming of Tom Brady or that he played like the best quarterback in this league at this point in his career. But he won you the game. And I know that's kind of a familiar sentiment for a lot of fans, especially Jimmy Garoppolo fans. But I think that's also the reason why you see George Kittle in the locker room after this game writing "Feels Great, Baby" on his shirt, with an ode to number 10, an ode to Jimmy Garoppolo.
Feels great, baby.
Because it is not about your performance as an individual, specifically with San Francisco and this 49ers team. It is about what you all collectively do together that gets you the win. That is what everyone on this team has unequivocally stated that it is about. We do not care about stats. We do not care about plays. We do not care about snap counts. We don't care about who gets the credit as long as we get the win. And right now, Brock Purdy is getting you wins.
Yeah, and even George Kittle talked about that, what aired on the Amazon pregame show with Tony Gonzalez, saying, I don't care about how many catches I get. I just want to win the game. And I think when we talk about Kyle Shanahan and the job he's done coaching this team, obviously he deserves credit for that and how good he's making Brock Purdy look. And again, I don't want to diminish what Brock Purdy is doing. He deserves credit first and foremost. But certainly Kyle Shanahan is doing his best work making his quarterback look pretty good. He deserves credit for that as well. But Kyle Shanahan, I think, also needs to get some credit for the locker room and the culture that he's established. I know that there was kind of some when Trey Lance went down week 2, Evan, and there were those reports that the locker room was like, okay, well, now we have Jimmy Garoppolo coming back in. Maybe we're better now. That was
the sense of not excitement, but sense of, look, this season isn't over.
Exactly. And that was maybe the you felt bad for Trey Lance in that moment because He goes down with a broken ankle, out for the year, and the reports were out of the locker room like, okay, well, maybe we're better now. That was kind of the only, time this year where you felt that maybe there was, I don't know, some bad vibes coming out of the locker room. But everything that has happened since, the way that Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think this is probably more of a credit to Garoppolo than Shanahan, just who Garoppolo is, being willing to come back to the 49ers after everything that happened. But the way that everyone in the locker room, all the players have talked about Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance after the fact, and now Brock Purdy, and the way everyone has bought into what Kyle Shanahan is selling, I think that's also an area where Kyle Shanahan doesn't get the credit he deserves, because that's something that I think when you have it, you take it for granted. When you have that great locker room that is supportive, that everyone is bought in and fighting for the same thing, you can take it for granted. But when you don't have it, who takes the blame? It's the head coach. So I think Kyle Shanahan, you even just forget about all the on-field stuff. He deserves credit for that as well. And certainly winning games helps. You're on the 7-game win streak. You're going to feel better about yourselves. But that's even been there when times have been tough.
No, it is, look, it is skewed to each opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to credit. You either get all of it or you get none of it. And in fact, the blame is potentially worse sometimes than I'm sure the credit feels good for a lot of these guys, because what do we always ask from head coaches in any sport? Flush it, win it, move on to the next one. Who cares what you did last week as long as you win the next week? On to Cincinnati. That is the goal in the NFL, and right now the Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers are doing that to a T. We got about 15 minutes left here on Double Overtime. 415ers Hour with Evan Giddings and Mark Grandy. 888-957-9570. That's also the number for the Xfinity mobile text line. Look, there's been some good texts coming in throughout this hour, Mark. 510, Brock Purdy reminds me a little bit of Ken Stabler. I didn't have a chance to watch him, obviously. I'm a little bit young, but I know that he is synonymous with grit, with toughness, with overcoming adversity, of course, as a Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Raiders. I'm looking at the 408. Maybe some doubters. Fellas, the Niners with Brock Purdy still haven't played against a quarterback that has the ability to make plays outside of the pocket. You alluded to that in the dual threat quarterback that someone like Jalen Hurts could potentially bring to this 49ers defense. And this is where I feel about the defense, Mark. Look, when Jimmy Garoppolo went down, I sort of saw this moment for the 49ers as a test. Like, how good is this defense? Are they really an all-time defense as we put them in the category, and they put themselves in that category through the first half of this season? Well, if they're even close to being that level of number one dominant defense with a guy like Brock Purdy, who can maybe not win you a game, but can make sure that you don't lose the game, that's a winning equation. And right now, they got all the pieces. Like, I know we talk about how great a quarterback is and how they can lead a team to a Super Bowl. But right now, the 49ers are showing you that their style, that Kyle Shanahan style that he's constructed quite literally from the bottom up, is a method to win that has now gotten you to the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years.
I think it was a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, Kyle Shanahan had, I think, one of his more honest media appearances. And he was talking a lot about team building. And it was before the Miami game, because a lot of the questions were about Mike McDaniel, his protege, who is, at that point was kind of the talk of the league. He's since lost two consecutive games to the Niners and then the Chargers as well. I know you're happy about that one, Evan.
You hate to see it.
But he talked about how being an offensive coordinator and then transitioning to a head coaching role, it took him a couple of years to change his philosophy, because when you're an offensive coordinator, you're not even watching your team play defense, because you're on the sideline or, up in the press box digging through film, looking at stills from your previous drive, figuring out what you did wrong, what you can do better, where you can take advantage of the defense. When you're a head coach, you're watching the whole game. You're locked into everything. You have, assistants and, people down the totem pole that are helping you out with what you were doing when you were an offensive coordinator. And he said it took him a couple of years to realize, I need to change the way I'm calling a game offensively, because I'm now focusing more on what our defense is doing. I'm not just go, 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 go. I need as many possible points as I can score. I'm not taking chances anymore if I feel like I don't need to, because my defense is playing really good football. And why would I take a risk to score more points when I already have, tonight, for example, 21, and our offense and our defense has only given up 6? Why would I take an unnecessary risk and potentially turn a ball over in a tough environment like Seattle and give them life? That wasn't how he called games early in his head coaching tenure with the 49ers. He has since changed it. And then to your point about the defense, when you have an elite defense like this, you kind of go to that extreme. And I know a lot of Niner fans might not like that because they want to see more points being scored. But when you have that kind of defense, it's pretty simple. You do not need to score that many points. And I think that's where we've seen Kyle Shanahan grow as a head coach. And it might frustrate some fans, but ultimately, in his opinion, and it's probably right more often than not, being a little more conservative in those moments probably gives his team a better chance to win games, because, again, he's just trying to avoid that back-breaking play at all costs.
Yeah, I believe he has leaned into the philosophy that has, just kind of created it by itself. A defense-first, run-first team with a quarterback that can do enough to help you win a game, that can be truly all three phases working in cohesion. Kyle Shanahan, to me, has leaned into that more than any other year as head coach. And I think he showed it tonight, because there was, Mark, there was kind of a perplexing situation that the 49ers went through. And it was at the tail end of, beginning of the second quarter.
Yeah, right at the end of the first.
End of the first. Second. And the 49ers have a chance. It looks like 4th and 7, clock is winding down to the end of the first quarter. It looks like they're trying to draw the Seahawks offside. And we're all saying, all right, it's coming. They're not going to run this play. And yet they do draw the Seahawks offsides. Now, whether you thought it should have been an offsides, that should have let the play run, I think that might have been what Shanahan was going for. Who cares? Because you come out of the second quarter, it's 4th and 2, and out comes the punt unit. And everyone's thinking, well, then why'd you try to draw them offsides in the first place? But to me, that is Shanahan, and maybe he kind of reevaluated the situation, but you're up by 7 at that point. That's, to me, him leaning into our defense is so damn good that I don't care if we don't maybe have, an extended drive, that if we don't turn this into 3 points, that if we don't get another score, because Seattle is not going to move the ball against my guys. I trust in DeMeco Ryans as much as I trust in my play calling. Speaking as Kyle Shanahan, apologize for that. But I do think it shows a little bit more about how Kyle Shanahan has been believing in the process, trusting in the process, even though the defense, yes, they don't score points regularly, although they had one taken off the board today. The offense just needs to get to you to a certain place. And that's kind of what you're talking about, like a certain amount of points. In this case, 21 was more than enough to beat the Seattle Seahawks. If all you got to do is get 20 points and you got a quarterback in Brock Purdy and a running back in Christian McCaffrey that can create that on a consistent basis, then no, I don't really have a problem with Kyle Shanahan kicking it at midfield on 4th and 2.
Well, it's funny because it was a 3rd and 16 from your own 44, so you're just shy of midfield. On that 3rd and 16 with 33 seconds left, you drop it off to McCaffrey. He gains 9 yards, 4th and 7, and they sprint up to the line. I've never seen a Niner offense get on the ball as quick as they did there. And then, time is about to run out, and the Seahawks left end on the defensive side jumps across. Niners snap the ball kind of simultaneously, and it looks like Niners might have gotten a free play, but ultimately they whistle it dead. It's 4th and 2, end of the first quarter, and kind of jokingly, as the broadcast went to commercial break at the end of the first quarter, Evan, I kind of offhand said this would be so Kyle Shanahan to punt now. After he showed like he was going to go for it on 4th and 7, the penalty happens, they get 4th and 2, and now he has a commercial break to think about it, and he says, nah, Mitch Wishnowsky just, hit him inside the 5.
Yeah.
And I said it jokingly. I didn't think he was actually going to punt. I thought, all right, Kyle Shanahan, showing some guts a little bit. He's going to go for it.
Duly noted.
And he ultimately decided against it and punted. And I think that's kind of to what we were talking about earlier, where there's frustration from Niner fans, but ultimately, to your point, it's what Kyle Shanahan believes gives his team the best chance to win. If this was a middle-of-the-line defense, if he knew he needed to score more points, I guarantee you he goes for it there. And we would see him be more aggressive in other moments. But the reality is he knows his team's strength is their defense, and why put your defense in a bad spot, giving the opponent the ball at midfield, giving them momentum, when you can just try to pin them deep.
Or potentially he does have a play drawn up for that scenario and maybe wants to keep it in the back pocket. Who knows? We'll, of course, see what Kyle Shanahan does, aggressive or passive, in the playoffs, because the 49ers have locked their spot. Some good news coming out of 49ers camp today. Charvarius Ward, who went into concussion protocol and past concussion protocol, did not see him out, as you pointed out. Janoris Jenkins was in that last drive. Kyle Shanahan thinks he passed it originally, basically was trying to play it safe with Charvarius Ward, as he did on that 4th and 2, played it safe. We got about 2 minutes, maybe 90 seconds left here, Mark. Where do you see this thing go? Like, we talked about Super Bowl expectations or not. It sounds like you're in on this team being able to win the Super Bowl.
I am, as odd as that is to say, because they have a seventh round rookie quarterback as their starting quarterback going into the playoffs. I know there was a text here on the Xfinity mobile text line a bit ago from the 925 saying, who starts in a potential NFC championship game is if Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy? Interesting question. It would be Brock Purdy, I think, even if Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy, which is odd to say. I think this ends with the Niners as the 2 seed, and ultimately they go to Philadelphia for the NFC championship game. I know that's chalk, 1 versus number 2, but I think those two teams have distanced themselves from the pack. Niners are as good as any team in the NFC. That will be a battle. It's kind of a flip of the coin. I'm not ready to say I think the Niners are favorites to get out of the NFC because Philadelphia is that good. But at this point, I'm pretty confident the Niners have what it takes with their defense to win a home playoff game, potentially 2 home playoff games if they can catch the Vikings for the 2 seed, and then see what happens in Philadelphia.
Well, right now they're matched up in the 3 and the 6 seed with the team they face next week in the Washington Commanders. That would be the first round of the playoffs if it started today. I'm with you. I do think that Dallas presents problems for the 49ers, but of course they got to get there. They would have to go on the road right now. Dallas would through Tampa Bay and get a win, and then we'll see what happens on that side of the bracket, because right now, if you do get to the 2 seed, you'd be opposite Philadelphia. So it's interesting to watch, interesting to pay attention to, but tonight the 49ers win, really, up until the last couple of minutes in convincing fashion on the road in Seattle. Not something you say too often. 21-13, they win the West. They conquer the West, as the 49ers have put on their social tags. We appreciate you tuning in to Double Overtime here. 415ers, go bang that. Download it wherever you download your podcast from. Rate, subscribe, 5 stars are appreciated. That will do it all for Mark Grandy. Big thank you to Sterling Bennett. Everyone here at 95.7 The Game, cutting sound, helping make this a fantastic production over the last couple of hours. Big thank you to Kyle Madsen, Alan Stiles on Overtime. This has been Double Overtime, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you to all of the business owners who kept people employed during the pandemic. For all you've done, you may be eligible to claim the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a payroll tax refund from the United States Treasury Department, applicable to businesses who kept employees on payroll during the pandemic. The window is closing to claim your refund. Contact Paychex to see if you qualify. Paychex is proud to have helped more than 45,000 businesses secure over $9.2 billion in ERTC claims, an average of $190,000 per business. 50 years and thousands of experts in HR, payroll, benefits, and insurance. You may be eligible to claim the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a payroll tax refund from the United States Treasury Department, applicable to businesses who kept employees on payroll during the pandemic. The window is closing to claim your refund. Contact Paychex to see if you qualify. Visit paychex.com/ERTC to find out how Paychex